Hey,
Hi, happy Friday.
I know. God, I'm so tired. So sorry if I seem a little out of it. I've drank enough coffee that I should be pretty alert, though. Do you want to try to turn your
Light
camera on?
roast, right?
I uninstalled and reinstalled TikTok Studio like this week, so it might
Let's
work
see
if
if
you
it
want to
works.
have your camera on. Because there
All
was like
right,
an echo and everything, and then the echo was gone yesterday. So maybe doing that helped.
maybe.
You don't have to if you don't want to. I'm just
No, I'm
suggesting.
happy to. I just want to see if I can get a better background than what I have.
Guys,
Just
we
being here in
are
the
live
office.
as well on. Oh, I was like, why can't I see the chat? TikTok Studio. One of these days, I'm going to get it all right. Let me pin my live goal before someone has to remind me. Look at me going. No, I even have ADHD medication. I don't, not serious ADHD medication, like, like for children. But yeah, I
Is there an
still
echo this
am.
time? Are we good?
No, I mean, I don't hear an
Beautiful.
echo. I know.
I'm good too.
I think it just if you every now and again you just have to uninstall TikTok Studio and reinstall it because it seems to have fixed most of the problems that we were having.
But but we love the TikTok shop and we love Live Fest. We love TikTok, right, Felice?
Oh, so much. I buy things on TikTok Shop all the time. That's the main purpose of this live is to buy things on TikTok Shop. Guys, tap the screen. I'm also live on YouTube. If you don't follow me on YouTube, please follow me there. It is A Girl Has No Name. It is Friday. We have made it to another Friday alive in America. And every day
Indeed.
now, the People's Receipts gives me this unique opportunity to know way too much about what's going on in the world. Oh,
I know.
hold on. I have your
I know.
Cash
It's
App.
crazy.
Is
Thank
that
you,
in a
pal.
good?
Appreciate you.
Should I
Can it go
closer?
like above the box there? It's hard to see it in the comments.
Okay, wait, hold on. Is that good?
Yeah, it works. Yeah.
Okay, I just because again, it looks different to me in TikTok Studio. So just, oh wait, let me just move it up a little because I
I was
actually have
laughing.
an
It says
iPad and a
Steven.
computer.
I don't feel like my mother's here.
Just because I could see it on my I also have like my iPad open so I can see what that view looks like, and it was being smashed a little. Okay, I think people will get the point.
Yes, indeed. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I appreciate. Glad to be here.
Yeah, happy Friday! I'm so glad you're here. Good, especially because I love your brain, and my brain feels a little tired. So I'm sure that you will be extra helpful. Guys, tap the screen. Let's get a couple hundred people in here. Let's get to 100K as fast as possible. We have some great things to talk about. Great, depending on how you look at it. Tap the screen, tap, tap, tap. Thank you so much, Fish Trucker, for sharing the live. Amazing. Thank you. Fish, like the band. Are you one of those people that goes on like fish cruises? I could see it. I could see it now. I have friends like that.
Well, I'm from that era,
Are
Felice. So
you?
they were at the University of Vermont when I was at the University of Vermont, and I actually have a VHS tape of when I interviewed Fish at a local bar in Burlington back in 1988.
That's that's hilarious. Oh my gosh. But I
Dating
know
myself
people
a little
like
bit.
my age that are into fish and I'm like, how do you get into it if you like miss the boat? Like I know people younger than me who are going on fish cruises.
Hmm. Yep. Yes, it's so funny to think about that. They used to play at like keg parties and bonfires when I was in college,
I
and
didn't
now
know
they're
they
like
were from
famous.
Vermont until you just told me right now. That's the first time I've
Yes, indeed.
actually heard that. I
Yes,
learned
indeed.
something new every day. All
See,
right,
Vermont
I'm
is
gonna.
real, Felice.
Oh I have heard tell of that. What was I? You guys actually, I was looking at maps, just for the broadcast. I'm always looking at things about maternal mortality and women's studies. You guys actually have the highest, like, you guys are doing amazing with maternal mortality. Like, your preterm birth rate is really low. Like, actually, Vermont has good healthcare per capita, apparently, is what I've
Yeah,
recently learned.
right after Oregon, as far as access to women's reproductive rights, it's codified into our Constitution, signed into law by a Republican governor, by the way.
Wait, what
Phil
is kind
Scott.
of a
Yeah, it's like codified
interesting?
into law. So women's rights to reproductive health care. After Oregon, Vermont ranks second in the country for women's reproductive health, and it was signed into law by a Republican governor, Phil Scott, who was one of the first governors on the Republican side to come out against Trump years ago. So he's a pretty decent man. I've actually shared fishing holes with him in the past. So he's a pretty
Holes.
decent guy. Yep.
Oh, I love that. I love
Yep.
that.
I mean, I could tell you where the fishing hole is, but then I'd have to kill you.
Hey, don't, I get it. I get it. I also have friends that are fishermen. I don't have the patience for fishing. I feel like I'm doing it wrong. I got college credit for fly fishing. I went to college at university in Idaho, so I was a fly fisher. That's where I got really frustrated.
We don't call it fishing anymore. We call it catching, because I mean, it's been many, many hours with no success. My son, my youngest son, is the fisherman now in our family. He's the one that catches fish wherever we go. Anyway,
that's awesome.
One in the audience.
But we digress. Yeah. So I'm going to, like always, I'm going to hop around at the beginning. Like, I think what happens is I start looking at the news and I get so interested in things, but today I'm really obsessed with this. And I've been showing the last couple of days this week. I think Chris Murphy is a Democratic senator from Connecticut. And he's been really hammering home this idea of like, hey, we've talked a lot about this, Trump's going to be a dictator on day one. He's like, but I don't think we're looking at a dictatorship, right? He's basically hammering home, hey, this is not a dictatorship. This is an oligarchy. This is where, extremely wealthy people get together, consolidate power, create barriers to entry for the middle and lower class, and exploit them. And I've been showing videos he's posting on his X. He was on MSNBC last night. So I want to use these as an introduction to a very disturbing trend I noticed going on yesterday and today that will disturb you. I think I was mentioning as of yesterday and the day before, there are now 15 billionaires in Trump's cabinet, or that Trump has appointed to like high level positions. 15 billionaires. And that does not even count the people with hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Because like the Vivek Ramaswamis, I consider them obscenely wealthy. But, I think it was Chris Murphy when we were watching a video yesterday who said that just the 15 billionaires alone have the combined wealth of 169 countries.
Correct.
169 mother effing countries.
If we add Elon and Vivek, it comes to close to $750 million in net worth. I'm sorry, $750 billion. $750 billion in net worth.
Yeah, I was like, we're almost, Robert Reich was talking about that. We're almost to trillionaires at this point. Like, it's terrifying. 169, there's only 190 something countries in the world, if you're confused about that. And think about what Trump is doing. That's the power of an oligarchy, right? It's the consolidation of wealth. And if all of these extremely wealthy people, if all of their interests are aligned and they have the vast majority of the world's wealth and they're protecting the White House, at that point, what can we do to fight them? So I want to play a couple clips of Chris Murphy last night on MSNBC, and then I'm going to show you just some headlines that I noticed developing over the last 36 hours.
After Trump left office, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, went and did a massive deal with Saudi Arabia, in which Saudi Arabia promised billions of dollars to invest in Kushner and his properties that the Trump family benefits from. There is no doubt that this administration's policy towards the Middle East is going to be compromised by the fact that they are making money off of the very people that they're sitting across the table from and supposedly having a conversation about the interests of the United States. I mean, it's just extraordinary that we have allowed for the normalization of Trump's financial empire to be woven into the statecraft of this country. All that matters is how much money he makes, how much money his family makes, and it comes at a cost to the rest of us. Plus, we'll see really bad policy made in the Middle East because he's got unqualified people there. But more so, he's going to put his wealth and his family's wealth first, the national security of the country second.
Just to speak to that, because I might have made a screenshot of this when I go into the screenshots I want to show you after this next clip. But if I didn't, when he's talking about the Middle East and reminding us of Jared Kushner, one of the things, like this trend of Trump surrounding himself with extremely wealthy people, you know, one of his daughters, the only child, I believe the only child from Marla Maples, is Tiffany Trump. And she married a man who I believe her father's a billionaire. Right. His name, she married a man named Michael Boulos.
Yes.
His father is, I believe, Mossad Boulos, who is now, just to be clear, the new Jared Kushner. First, he let Ivanka's husband be his envoy to the Middle East or whatever you want to call it. Now it is Tiffany Trump's husband's dad. Her grandpa-in-law. I don't. Wait, no. You know what I'm saying, though.
But Felice, Trump donated his presidential salary.
I know, you guys. He cares about the people. It's fine. Nothing weird's going on. MAGA's not. You guys aren't getting robbed while you carry water for billionaires. It's totally fine, guys. I appreciate you so much tapping. I think it's pretty clear, but that's faxes, Cash App, and Venmo. Please gift him. The best way to support us is through Cash App and Venmo. This is mine right here. If you have a question, comment, a joke, just something you want read out loud, mine and faxes is down there, and we will check that periodically throughout the show. But most importantly, I appreciate you guys so much. Engagement has been so much higher this week. You guys are doing an amazing job tapping the screen. Please keep it up. Tapping is clapping. If you like what I do with the people's receipts, that's how you can show me. Okay, so exactly. So again, he's done it again. Instead of just putting his son-in-law, Michael Boulos, who has, wow, awesome. Thank you so much, Jen. Instead of putting his son, Michael, or his son-in-law, like he did Jared Kushner last time, this time it's just his son's dad. Like in charge of the Middle East. And I was showing, if you guys remember, I was showing you guys yesterday the latest project financed by the Saudis. I can't remember. It's Trump something, but I mean, that's quite a project, right? And so anyways, let's move on to step 2 of the creation of an oligarchy.
Love Chris Murphy.
What does this tell you about the government that is emerging in next January?
I think we talk a lot about the coming dictatorship, but I think what's really coming is what you would call an oligarchy. That's a term you probably forgot from high school, but what it means is that a handful of really rich people run the government and they steal from ordinary people using their access to government in order to make themselves and their families even richer. That is likely what we are heading for in the United States of America. I don't think it's a coincidence that Trump's cabinet is filled with billionaires. There's more wealth on that cabinet than 169 different nations.
Do not believe what I have to show you guys today. And I know I say that every day, so it's like, how could I be serious about that every day? But I mean, you just have no idea. Like I always say, I see the world in patterns, and I almost have a eidetic memory. Like my memory is almost photographic. So it's like I can see this pattern, and the pattern, like it's not like a pattern that's moving in a line. It's like branching out like a tree of the creation of this oligarchy and the consolidation of power. And what scares me most, I think, is that nobody that's part of the right, MAGA, cannot see this. Like, how can you not see it? And it's almost like if someone points it out, like Chris Murphy, and says the word oligarchy, it's almost like they triple down and they're like, nope, now you guys are trying to say something about my Lord and Savior. So I'm going to push back even harder now. I refuse to believe it's true even more.
Yeah, like this week, I've spent a lot of time with my lives, and actually, we're going to get into it tonight again at 6 o'clock. Why aren't billionaires? Why aren't the oligarchs the common enemy from the right and the left? Because the case in point, the reaction to Luigi Maggioni and what happened there, call it justified, call it whatever you want, but is this a tipping point? Is this an opportunity for our society to find one common enemy? And it is the corporate class. It is the oligarchs. And the same party that talks about, the liberal elites. And then you look at Trump's cabinet and it's loaded with $750 billion in wealth. And yet the left are the liberal elites. It's weird. It's a weird switch.
It's like we're in a slow motion nightmare. Because if you remember in 2016, right, there were actually a lot of MAGA who did like Bernie Sanders. They still do, right? The burners. That's one thing a lot of people on the right will agree on. Joe Rogan endorsed Bernie Sanders as the candidate for the left, and they agreed with him, right? That was how MAGA started out, saying there's all these rich people, all of these lobbyists, all of these corporations, all of we need to get money out of politics. That was MAGA. If you remember in the 2016 or in the primary, wait, was it 2016? Was it against Ted Cruz? Whenever Trump was in the primary against Ted Cruz, yeah. When Trump was in the primary against Ted Cruz, that is exactly what Trump was selling these people, what is obviously now a lie. He said, I have money. I will never take your money. I will never take money from corporations or from rich people or from lobbyists, right? From captains of industry. I can fund my own campaign. And now here's where we are. And again, this is a Washington Post article. And I mean, this is just one of many articles I'm going to show you. But this is just the last 48 hours. Every single tech mogul is now coming out and just giving Trump $1 million.
And then there's the $1 billion pay to play as a corporation.
Yeah, we've covered that the last 2 days, but we'll cover that again because we're going to get to that again because Trump mentioned that again yesterday at the New York Stock Exchange. But we covered that as well. But this is just now to hey, one of them gave him $1 million, right? And Mark Zuckerberg said it the best. It was reported Mark Zuckerberg is really uncomfortable with who he sees as his rival, Elon Musk, holding hands with Trump in the White House. So Mark Zuckerberg gave Trump $1 million and just said, here's a gift for your inauguration. Guess who followed suit after? Jeff Bezos gave Trump $1 million and says, here for your inauguration. I think it's Michael Benioff. It's also the guy who owns Time Magazine, the man who just made Donald Trump the person of the year or whatever, the man of the year. That guy is also a huge tech CEO. He owns Salesforce. That is the software that most corporations in the United States are built upon, right? And he's made Trump the person of the year, and they have a meeting. It's said that where he's going to offer him a donation. Here, let me show you. I'm just going to show you some of this. So top executives in the technology industry have long been, because Trump has long gone after them, right? They used to be liberals who fought Trump. Google CEO Sundar Pichai was scheduled for a sit down with him yesterday. Salesforce CEO and Time Magazine owner Mark Benioff celebrated his publication's naming of Trump as person of the year. Mark Zuckerberg made $1 million donation to the Trump inauguration fund. Amazon founder and Washington Post owner Jeff Bezos also committed $1 million for the inauguration through Amazon on Thursday. Literally, $1 million is nothing to these people. We know if you want to be in the club, it's a cool billion. But this is just, hey, heard you're having a party. Here's $1 million. That's how the American oligarchy plays ball. Keep tapping the screen, guys.
From your pocket.
Well, yeah, that's what I used to say. $1 million is in between their couch cushions. This is like just like this would not be enough if someone was getting, if Trump's daughter was getting married. This is now just like, hey, like we're paying. Obviously, this is a pay to play situation. It's a Tuesday. I heard you're having a little party. Here's $1 million. And here, let me show you who else, because this is not isolated to these people. Just in the last few hours. Oh wait, hold on. Oopsies.
Some of that is actually referenced in that Time interview. Like he talks about that the lack of transparency in the transition funding, and that's referenced in that Time magazine interview about how are you going to disclose that list of people who are contributing to your transition? He's like, oh yeah, sure. How come you haven't done it yet?
Oh, I know.
So there's that
God, don't even get me started on that. So again, because Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Mark Benioff made him the Time Person of the Year. And the guy that interviewed Trump for that interview called him sir the entire time. I've never seen a more deferential, ridiculous interview in my life than that Time magazine interview. Journalism is dead in this country. All of our publications are owned by billionaires who are just paying lip service and trying to get in on the oligarchical, spoils that will be doled out.
I will say, though, I mean, I don't disagree, but that interview, more than many, at least there was some pushback and there were some requests for further information when he answered questions, unlike everybody else.
There wasn't pushback, if you notice. They never said you're lying. Like, that's why.
True. More clarification, I guess.
The only agreement that Trump will make, that's why there were so many lies in that interview. No one ever said that's not true to him. He lied hundreds of times in that interview and was never fact checked one time. And what Time magazine did was, and which I sent to you as well, then they produced a 3,000 word fact check of Trump where they're like, here's all the lies, but no one follows up and reads the fact checks. They gave him like 12,000 word interview in Time magazine along with the cover where he pathologically lies, which is, again, a favor from the Salesforce CEO who is ungodly wealthy. This is OpenAI's Sam Altman. This is just a few minutes ago.
Because you have a really smart chat. Somebody said, who the Times Person of the Year was in 1938, and that would be Schmittler. Oh,
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, truly, this is just a few minutes ago. They're like, oh, we're all giving him $1 million. Like, now here comes Sam Altman with his million, right? Yep. Like they all want to compete with Elon Musk. And whenever, we start doling out government contracts, they all want to be a part of it. Remember I was talking to you guys, actually, I think when Fax was here last Friday, I was telling you guys about, how what is his name? Harry Litman, right? He's a contributor to MSNBC. He was a contributor for the Los Angeles Times, and he resigned last Friday and was talking on MSNBC about why. And it's because this is going to come as a surprise. It's owned by another billionaire, a billionaire in the medical/healthcare industry. An Asian guy named Patrick Soon-Shiong is now saying whether or not they can endorse candidates. He's getting involved in the opinion section and determining who's allowed to say what. This is all just happening in the last couple hours. How can we stop this? That's a great question. I mean, we have to convince MAGA who's robbing them. We're all trapped in the same life raft. I say this all the time. Like, we can ostracize them and insult them, or we could start recognizing, hey, we have to convince people in this country that immigrants don't have their money. Right? That actually immigrants contribute to our economy, and deporting them will only sink our economy further into a depression.
It's a constant punching down. It's the constant punching down instead of, again, the galvanization potentially of the billionaire class who's ripping us off every single second of every day and then laughing about it. Sitting around there on their golden toilets and their conference and their boardroom tables laughing at us. Hey, look at they're fighting over arguments. Look at they're fighting over this. They're fighting over that. It's crazy. But again, the distraction's the point, right, Felice?
Absolutely. The distraction is always the point. And also, we have to get over MAGA's fear of if we're mean to billionaires, they'll leave. They won't leave. Now you have them running the country because you're too scared to stand up to them. We were talking yesterday about how they took over the National Labor Relations Board, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah. So bye-bye unions. Bye-bye dispute resolution with people that are pro-union. I mean, they've gotten every single thing they wanted. Julie, thank you much. Thank you so much for subscribing. Please help me reach my subscription goals. It is much appreciated. So I want to show, we're going to get off of the billionaires. We're going to get back on it quickly, but I wanted to start here because I'm just fascinated by this phenomenon that I'm watching develop. And so there's a show on CNN that goes on every night, and I just call it the Scott Jennings show. I play clips from it all the time because I can't believe what's going on this. This is Scott Jennings, but it's a panel of people that, I mean, at first they were civil. It's getting to the point where I think they're all going to start fist fighting each other. Like, I don't want to hate watch a show. But I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, it's becoming like The View. it's really.
Oh no, this is way past The View. What you just have? I got a bunch of clips of this because I have to show you guys what is happening. Now, just be clear that she is an economist. This is an actual economist. This is some guy that Trump demanded be on CNN that knows nothing about anything. His name's Scott Jennings. It just yells bigoted, crazy things. Actually, apparently doesn't know how the economy works at all. But he's just this like anti-woke, anti-liberal, like MAGA. He's kind of like Jesse Waters, but I think Jesse Waters is playing a character. I think he's honestly dead serious. So I just want to take you through the knockdown, drag out fight that was going on. And the truth, this man doesn't say one thing that is true. Like this is where we're at in society. This woman's an economist and he just lies, right? It's the same thing I see on Capitol Hill every day. Republican senators, their job is to lie. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. I appreciate it so much. So I have I think it's like 5 or 6 clips. This is last night.
But the real anger in the electorate was and will remain with the administration that oversaw the huge inflation in the first place.
Except that all of the things that Trump is promising now in his economic agenda will make inflation worse.
Cheaper energy?
First of all, worse? Oil production is at an all-time high. We are producing more oil per day in this country than any country has in history.
I think energy producers would tell you the government is put a boot on its
Trump's own donors in the fossil fuel industry.
About that we are producing more oil now than even when Trump was in office.
Well, that's a fact. It's about more than just oil production. There's all sorts of refining capacity,
we're producing
pipeline
record
capacity.
High levels of natural gas.
Look,
we're producing
I know your favorite pastime is to come out here and talk over me, but just please.
I care about the facts. I care about the facts.
The reality is, if you talk to anybody in the energy business, if you talk to anybody,
he says things that are wrong. And I interrupt him and correct him because our job is to inform our audience.
I'll just wait.
Hang on 1 second.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Finish
no.
your point.
Look, I play this game every time we come out here. The legitimate answer is he's going to do stuff on energy. He's going to take regulatory shackles off of the energy producers. If you talk to anybody in the energy business who produces, refines, deals with pipelines, this administration, Democrats in Congress, have put shackles on what they can.
That's okay. And he's totally wrong. And again, this woman is an economist, right? This woman is a person who understands the function of the global economy. Not one word she said was incorrect. I was just listening to an energy conference. And she's exactly right. They don't want to drill anymore. Do you understand why? If you increase too much supply, if we stayed at the same, the United States is producing more oil than anybody in the world has ever produced in history. right? If we stay on this pace, the global demand, just our oil production is going to outpace global demand, right? By like 1 million barrels. Do you know what that does? It brings the price per barrel down. Do you understand how scarcity of the market, when you decrease scarcity, the price per barrel goes down, and those record profits that the oil and gas industry loves so much go away.
We've been watching conservative and MAGA talking points and discussion tactics, and stylistically, they all do the same thing. Like he says, we're going to take, Democrats in Congress have put the shackles on energy, but they never tell you either what those shackles are or what a Trump administration or Republican Congress will do to remove said shackles. It's all part of the game. That's why when we ask MAGA or when we're having conversations, opposition in debates, it's like, okay, tell us how. Tell us what they did and tell us how they'll fix it. And there's no answer because they learn from people like Scott Jennings. They learn from Trump. They learn from other talking heads. There's never a why or how. It's always talking point, talking point, talking point, talking point.
Oil per barrel is about $70 right now, right? And we are producing more oil than we ever have, than anyone in the world ever has before. And
Correct.
if it falls below $60 a barrel, they don't want to open up. They don't care anymore. They can't drill anymore. It's not cost effective to them to take on new permits. And like I'm telling you, we are on pace to outpace the global need for oil. The world is switching to other types of energy. So there's a tightrope walk of supply and demand that the oil and gas industry has to walk in order to keep their profits, the price per barrel of oil high. That's why it makes no sense what Trump's ever talking about.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what, and our friends on the right don't like to know this, but some of the largest investors in sustainable energy is big oil. So they see the writing on the wall.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Fish Trucker. Says your show has taught me so much. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for sharing the live. I appreciate it more than you
said
know.
The same to me. So thank you, Fish Trucker, as well. I appreciate it.
It's true. It's very true. Oh, I saw your real name. I won't tell anyone.
I won't either.
I don't know why I said that. I don't usually say things like that. I know. I'm a steel bolt. Okay, wait, let's finish this guy rambling about things that are, and again, even Scott Bessent, right? The man who is going to be in charge of Trump's treasury. Who, by the way, grew up at the feet of George Soros. And that's how he learned to trade and manage financial markets, is at the feet of George Soros, who MAGA believes is somehow, running the deep state, which is something that has to do with bigotry that I'm not going to get into.
Sending you checks, sending me checks, sending every left-wing creator checks. Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. That's where the man Trump chose to run the treasury, who was his own fund was in the tank, right? Like Scott Bessent needed to pivot. But that's what I'm reading and listening to an essay Scott Bessent wrote in 2022 that's basically echoing the same thing. This all has to do with supply and demand. But since MAGA doesn't understand how how energy works, how the global economy works, they just think if we drill more, well, most of them don't even know we're drilling more than ever before under Joe Biden. Same thing with natural gas. We are exporting more natural gas than ever before. They just had a congressional hearing on it, and Laura Boebert tried to be like, first she tried to say they weren't, because they're pausing, exports that don't have like the free trade contracts. She's like, you're shutting down exports for natural gas. He's like, no, we're exporting more than we've ever exported in U.S. history. And then she tried to be like, well, you're taking jobs away. And he's like, no, we actually can't hire people. We have natural gas terminals that we are begging people to work at. Like, none of it is true. Like, people believe the oil and gas industry is at a standstill. They just had a conference in London where ExxonMobil executives were like, not drill, baby, drill. keep it just like it is. Like Biden is in the sweet spot, which I don't even necessarily like that. I don't want to be beholden to oil and gas executives, but Biden has essentially done exactly what he wants, what they want. You know, they're like, this is perfect. We just keep going at this pace.
I was so opposed to the Willow Project. Not happy about that. I don't want to be continually dependent on big oil, because we see big oil executives in cabinet positions in charge of the EPA and things like that. So not necessarily strange bedfellows, as they say.
Exactly. Hey, Fee.
Hey, everyone. How are you? Hey, Fax. It's great. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm just here to interrupt our current programming because we are absolutely not tapping with our whole hearts, and these guys deserve it. We have facts that are brought to us every single day on the people's receipts, and so let's get those fingers tapping on the screen. Let's gift our wonderful co-host today, Facts. Don't forget Felice, subscriptions keep us alive, so don't make me come up and, put, sub comments only. We don't want to do that, but we will. So keep tapping. You've got about, 15 minutes to get us to 100 and I'll start easy, 100K. And now I'm off. Sorry for the interruption. By the way, this live is for educational purposes only. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. You know what I was going to say too, which Fee reminded me to say? I updated my Amazon wish list too, by the way. Like she said that people were asking, I updated my Amazon wish list. It is up to date. It's in my link tree in my bio. Okay, let's finish this clip of this man yelling things that are factually untrue.
Dude, why is energy production at a record high?
If you take the shackles off, the prices will go down. It should help.
I guess what I'm wondering is, why won't you answer the point that she's making, which is that if it's so bad, why is energy production
I didn't dispute it.
Higher than it was under Trump? And on top of that, Trump was asked a very simple question. If you promised the American people that you'd bring prices down and then you failed to do that, is that not a problem? Is that something that the American people will judge him on?
If he brings energy prices down, and if he extends the tax cuts, and he generally implements an economic climate in which incomes can rise and certain things do come down, and he tells the American people the truth about what he's doing the entire time, I think Trump is saying, I would like to.
Oh my God.
Like that he did not say any words that meant anything. He also didn't answer the question that he was asked, except for he did say, I do not dispute it. This is an actual economist. Like, just to be clear, if we increase production at this point, as far as for the gross domestic product, we're not helping it. Right? It depends on the price per barrel of oil, which is more like a tightrope walk. It's not like no matter how much we produce, the world can consume it. That's what you need to think. There's a max amount of barrels of oil the world needs, and that is going down because we are moving to alternate sources of energy. So we have to, there's a target output. We are producing more than anyone in the world has ever produced. If we produce a surplus, we lower the price per barrel of oil and we crash the market. Great for our gas prices.
Right. Economists who study this, they talk about long-term projections of growth in particular industries from an employment perspective. And it's not in fossil fuels. It's in innovation. It's in sustainable energy. It's in those kinds of things, which again, the world is shifting. And to be honest, the U.S. is way behind.
Absolutely.
Try to catch up.
And that's how you can tell Trump has no idea what's going on. Like, this man doesn't understand. Like, it's not that he was talking yesterday about, in the Time magazine article, he's like, the electric vehicle mandate is horrible. There is no electric vehicle mandate. No. There never was an electric vehicle mandate. We're not getting off gas and oil. We're going to use it to supplement our economy in the short term. As we transition, there will always be a need for gas and oil. Have you ever heard of plastic? Do you understand how plastic is made? It takes oil to make plastic.
Petroleum.
Okay, so again, we're just continuing on. I'm just showing you what is going on in this show last night.
For real. What Scott was not accurate about, which kind of happens around the table sometimes, although I know you want to be.
Don't touch me.
I can't touch you.
All right, everybody keep your hands to yourselves at the table.
All right, but one of the things Scott was not accurate.
To show you that, he's like, don't touch me. The guy put his arm on his shoulder and he's like, don't touch me.
Wow.
About what Trump plans to do about this and how not only will he fail at his promise at bringing grocery prices down, he will probably drive them up higher for a number of reasons. One of which is that he wants to deport most of our farm labor force. Not only the people who are here who are without authorization, people who are undocumented, but actually we have a lot of workers here who are on visas, temporary, basically seasonal agricultural visas who are here legally, a visa program he wants to end. He wants to deport lots of people from other parts of the food processing system, people who work in meatpacking plants, again, people who are here legally and who are not here legally. Beyond that, he wants to raise tariffs on the food that we bring in from other countries. We get 90% of our avocados from Mexico and something like 2/3 of our fresh tomatoes. These things will drive prices up. You know, so it's not only a matter of it's hard to get them back down. It's easy to get them up higher.
We had
about what Trump plans to do about this and how not only will he fail.
I love her.
It's like, did you see that story about, I think it was a South Dakota dairy farm, South Dakota dairy farmer who lives like 5 minutes down the road from Kristi Noem.
I lived in South Dakota for a year, so I feel overly qualified to speak on it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you may have seen the story. So he's a super MAGA supporter, loves Trump. Obviously, he's got MAGA signs all over his barn, and someone has presented him with this information. Did you know what the plan was? He's like, I can't believe he would do that. And then the reporter says, well, what if he did? He's like, I would be out of business. Like, that's the reality. That's the find out phase, right? That the reality of what she's just talking about so many underpinnings of our society is based on labor, as we know, and in particular, undocumented labor in many cases, agriculture, housing, construction, manufacturing, food processing, all these things. And again, the promise has been to mass deport. So that's why, again, it's a lose-lose situation. If his tariffs are successful, cripples the economy. Deporting people cripples the economy. If he doesn't, then he didn't fulfill his promises. So it's lose-lose.
We were talking about this. I mean, and it's like it's the most asinine circular logic, right? Like MAGA will start saying, we have trade deficits. We have trade deficits. Yes, we have trade deficits because our exports cost a lot of money. Why? The value of the dollar is really high. We have very little slave labor in this country, right? The way that China exports things at such a low cost is they have a slave labor manufacturing industry going. We don't have that. And then think about it. What little of slave labor we do have, which I don't approve of, I'm just telling you, the cheapest of the cheapest labor in our country, Trump is saying, let's deport those people. The day laborers, like I have family members who walk over the border, you know, in Juarez and stuff every day to work in the fields and go back. Let's cancel that visa program. You think that our exports are going to get cheaper when we take the cheapest of the cheapest labor in America, we get rid of it? No, the exports will be more expensive. If we get all of our materials, what little is manufactured in America, we get our materials from other countries. Trump's talking about putting tariffs on those materials. So that means the companies that need them to construct something have to pay extra. When the cost of materials goes up, the cost of labor goes up, which is already some of the highest in the world. Right? We don't have a slave labor industry. The cost of our exports go up.
His campaign was run on primarily immigration and the economy. So to end inflation, lower prices. So tariffs are inflationary. Wants to remove millions of workers that will again cause serious harm to our economy, and the cost of deporting all those people. It's just like
it's all connected, and that's the like true irony. It's all and to just go into how much it's all connected. Furthermore, you want to talk about our Social Security program being insolvent? You know who's paying into it for free? all of those undocumented laborers, every time they're taxed, they pay into Social Security and will never take it back out. So you're saying, Trump likes to say it's 21 million. It's not. Estimates, the highest, I think it's probably like 11.8. Highest estimate I've ever heard from a sane person is 13. But you're saying 13 million workers pay at max, probably 11.8, paying into Social Security and Medicare, ours, for free. We'll never get that money back. Let's get rid of those people.
Something like $8 billion to deport every 1 million people, something like that. I mean, my math can be completely wrong, but it was a staggering number when I saw that. When you talk about all the agencies involved, the manpower, the person power involved.
The estimates are between 40 to 600 billion for deportations.
There you go. Exactly.
And Trump said it in the Time. I have listened in order to listen to the Time magazine article, and you can read it. I've read it once. I've listened to it twice. It takes 59 minutes at a normal reading pace.
8 billion per 1 million. Okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Yeah. To listen to it. And his plan to get these deportations done is more tariffs. Because there's a lot of countries that are saying we're not taking the people back. That's our problem now. You can't deport anyone. They will not take them back. So they just sit in prisons. Who pays for that? We do. Taxpayers, we pay for it. We pay for them to sit there because we can't send them anywhere. Trump says, if they won't take them back, we put tariffs on their stuff. Who pays for that? We do. We pay for it. Any way you look at this, we're being punished.
I found this great meme. Trump wants to punish Mexico for illegal immigration by making Americans pay more for Mexican products because that's how stupid works.
That's amazing. It's like, that's what, when I say circular logic, that's what I mean. It's just, it makes no sense and it's stupid. Hey, so any way you shake it, you're punishing the American economy. You're punishing American citizens. You're taking from our Social Security. Yeah.
Exactly.
And the goal is just don't tax the rich. Consolidate an oligarchical power. Who cares what happens
don't tax
to the rest of us?
Lower their tax rate.
Yeah. Lower it more.
Exactly.
Higher.
We had 4 years of President Trump, and we had the best economy in our lifetimes.
That's not true.
And we had 4 years of Joe Biden.
That's not true. I mean,
I love it. How many times does this woman have to say, that's not true? That's like all she says the whole show. We had Trump for 4 years. We had the best economy. No, we didn't. He ran the economy into the ground. That was Obama's economy.
It's just part of the problem is, I don't know the future of this, but it's the normalization of just blatant lies. That's the issue. And that's why people struggle. I know you and I've spoken, I worked in media for years and there was credibility and integrity connected to media. And now they platform people like this who just blatantly lie. It's a flat out lie. It's not an opinion. It's not stretching the truth. It is a flat out lie, period. Full stop.
Right. This guy, and I started watching him like 2 months ago. I mean, that is his job. I don't think I've ever heard him say a true thing, not one time. And they're so comfortable with it. Our United States senators are so comfortable. Everyone in Congress, if you're a Republican, your job is to be a pathological liar. Your job is to, and not to defraud the left, who think, the majority of us can tell the difference between the truth and a lie. And if not, we understand how to critically think and do research. You're defrauding the people that voted for you.
Exactly.
No, because we can go back. Look, you can go to George Bush 1. Left a terrible economy. Bill Clinton fixed it. You can go to George Bush 2. What are we laughing about? I mean, everybody know this is not. You can talk about any economic indicator, from job growth to job creation to wage growth.
We're going to count the bounce back jobs.
Yeah, and I love that's just something they heard Trump say. Every person on the right, the bounce back jobs. If we counted none of those jobs, Biden created more jobs than Trump.
Exactly.
I don't think people understand just how terrible Trump was at job creation. And remember, that wasn't his economy. When he gets into office on January 20th and he gets credit for the jobs that are created that quarter, those are Biden's jobs, right? He got credit for the economy that Obama built for years. Those were not jobs he created. If we don't even count the pandemic, Biden created more jobs.
That's right. So if I were to do we've talked about the messaging, like from a post-mortem, from a strategy perspective for the Democrats this time, I think, yes, you spoke to it, but you spoke to it in macro terms. Sure, at the macro level, our economy was the best in the world, but they didn't connect with voters on the kitchen table politics side of it, a kitchen table impact, because we saw every incumbency globally that was in power during COVID, as inflation spiked, they all lost their seat at the table, right? So I think there was a disconnect to voters who were feeling the effects of prices going up. People just unwilling to understand it, which again, if the Democrats were smart, they'll use that to their advantage for future elections to say, Trump ran on lowering your prices. So when prices don't go down, who are you going to blame? The messaging machine from the right is better than the left. They'll find a way to spin it to blame it on the left. But that's the core issue, right? End of the day, it's always the economy, stupid, and it came down to that. Sadly,
yeah, and you're making me want to show you something, because I found this video and Pickles and I were talking about it. It's fascinating because it's like we can show you, like we can bear that out. Why? It's absolutely right. It's just like, I get it. MAGA, they don't understand the economy and how it works, which that's not saying. Who does, right? Like if you
exactly.
I mean, who really does understand it? I'm not demanding
we're different though.
What?
I said we're wonks about it. We spend too much time probably trying to figure it out, but you're right. By and large, most people don't know it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do not understand how the American economy works. Here, I found the clip. Hold on. I just want to make sure I can play this. Okay. So, that you're right. From a macro perspective, and I say that all the time, like from a macro perspective, whoever was in power during the pandemic, the incumbents, they are ousted. Justin Trudeau will probably be ousted, and Pierre Poilievre will be in power. Someone who has no idea what he's doing, because people just say, I didn't feel good the last 4 years. And that's where the critical thinking stops, right? Like we need to have a conversation of why, but why didn't it work? And I found this video, I mean, outside of the Robert Reich videos we're always listening to, it's the same reason Social Security is insolvent. Remember the Robert Reich explaining, hey, there's a simple fix to Social Security and it doesn't involve raising the retirement age to 70. It's that all of the profits in the American economy, imagine having the number one gross domestic product and the middle class and the lower class, we're not benefiting from that at all. The record profits in the United States, it's all going one place, the top of the economy. They are only taxed, right? And Pickles did the factored in inflation yesterday, right? So this year, if you're in the 1%, you're only taxed on $172,000 of your income that goes into Social Security. These are people making $50 million a year, right? Making money in capital gains. That's where our Social Security money is taxed. We need to raise the cap on Social Security taxes. That is where the money is. It's at the top of the economy, trickle up economics. And here, let me show you this video. Because this details it out. You want to know why, MAGA? I hope someone from the right is listening and you can go tell people that you saw this. You want to know where your money is? This is where.
Buckle up.
Interesting. If you want to look for reasons why people are unhappy and why the mood of the country is so dyspeptic, let's look at what has been happening to kind of what I'll call the fruits of our economic success. We've had a great economy for a good while with some ups and downs, but generally quite strong. But the rewards of that have not been delivered equally. So again, if we go back all the way to 1994, we're tracking here stock prices, and you can see what's happened to those. We're tracking corporate profits, and you can see what's happened to those, and we're tracking how much of personal income has gone up, and you can see the difference here over a long period of time, how people have ended up with a lot less than corporate profits and way less than stock market investors. And let's just look at the last two presidents. You can see that under Trump in his first term, corporate profits went up by a 14.7% annual rate over his 4 years. Personal income only went up by 5.7% over that same period. Biden, it's closer, but still, corporate profits went up 12%, personal income went up 7%.
Every factor.
That's the reality. That's where our money is. And Biden's proposal to fix the Social Security problem was raising the cap so that people making where the profits are going at the top of the economy, right? We're getting more of that money taxed and putting it into Social Security and taxing unrealized capital gains, a small amount for Social Security. And that would have made it solvent for another 75 years. That's where the money is.
Inside of 2 years, we will pay as a country $6 trillion towards healthcare, which is 18% of our GDP. So $1 in every $6 we spend goes towards healthcare. And we wonder why what happened last week happened.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that. Did you listen to any of that ProPublica article? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's sick.
I know.
It's like you just want to be ill, literally. I don't even know how else to say it. You just want to be sick when you hear things like that.
Which goes back to what we've been talking about, right? Like, why can't we find unification to go after? The data in and of itself just tells us everything we need to know. Corporate profits continue to go up. The wealth gap gets wider and wider. And now we have billionaires setting policies that benefit billionaires.
Absolutely. Exactly. No. And just saying, hey, I'm paying to play. Here's $1 million. Like, you'll get my cool billion to deregulate whatever industry I go into next. Like, it's insane.
Trump released more criminals, more convicted criminals into the interior of the United States because he was busy filling up his prisons, his jails, his ICE detention centers with asylum seekers. That's what we're talking about here. When you deprioritize the criminals, that means you're prioritizing everyone else.
They're going to prioritize the people that have deportation orders.
They didn't last time.
They're going to prioritize the criminals. And I think the message is pretty clear. If you've come here and broken our
Trump has said the opposite, though, right? Like, Trump's saying we're ending birthright citizenship, which it's important to notice, right? Because this is all you heard Trump literally muttering incoherently. That's what I'll call that Time magazine article. If you make the mistake of reading that transcript, it is the incoherent mutterings of a senile man, in my opinion.
Unreal. I agree.
I feel like I have to say it doesn't make. Yeah. He literally does not know anything is the takeaway from that article. And he's just lying, either lying through his teeth, does not know anything, or my suspicion is a combination of it's a very robust combination of both. And he's saying, oh, the reason everyone voted for me is because they know the border's broken. The border's fine. We are back down. The 7-day rolling average of encounters is now below it was when Trump left office. Below.
Exactly.
Lower than when Trump left office. Thanks, Joe Biden. With no funding.
Thanks, Joe.
No passing of border bills. He did what Trump is lying and saying he's going to do.
And you and I both know, I think that there was probably an opportunity earlier on during his administration to address what he did late, meaning Joe Biden, right? So there could have been an opportunity there to kind of lean in a little harder on immigration, recognizing it too late in the game that we need to lower the numbers of encounters, right? That was a miss.
I don't know. You feel that way. I don't feel. I mean, it depends on how you think he should do it. I think Joe Biden. I mean, you're talking to an indigenous Mexican and who understands the global economy. What we need is our pathways to work visas. Right.
Totally
we don't
agree.
need to shut people out of this country.
Totally
we need
agree
to
with you.
document people and get them on work visas. Our birth rate is declining. The only answer to save our economy is work visas and pathways to immigration, period. It is
I totally agree.
undeniable.
My
That's
point
why
was,
when I heard the bipartisan border bill had no pathway to citizenship or no hope for work visas, I was like, oh, we're going to crash our economy. That's
I guess what I was saying from an election perspective, addressing it perhaps too late in the game. You know what I mean? I completely
for
agree.
sure. No,
Pathways to
like, let's
citizenship.
just be honest. Joe Biden did amazing things with our economy. He put on a master
Absolutely.
class of liberal policy. He is going to hand off the strongest American economy in history to Donald Trump. He could not communicate any of it.
Yep.
You know, yeah,
Agreed.
like, I mean, I would say he didn't start too late. I don't know that Joe Biden ever, and I think that's how Joe Biden was, though, you know, like Joe Biden's like, they'll realize. No. And not only could Joe Biden not effectively communicate, which I don't even blame him for, but think there's just in the last part of the election, Elon Musk put $277 million into a misinformation and disinformation campaign. Do you know what I'm saying?
I shared that graphic with you. I shared that graphic with you about social media presence and how the right dominated. So that's the point, right?
Yeah.
The Wired article with that word cloud.
Yes. I was talking about that yesterday. That Jovan was in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the point right there. And I agree with you that the success speaks for itself, but not enough people were speaking about it. That's the problem. And
exactly.
Joe wasn't the best messenger. We all know that, and that's just the reality of it. It still didn't land on the kitchen table. So we lost because of lies, misinformation.
Yeah. And I think, but also the American people, what happens next? I mean, we've been classified as an oligarchy by Harvard and Stanford for years, but what happens next, MAGA can thank themselves. Like the unwillingness to learn how to critically think, to listen when people are talking, to say, hey, Donald Trump is saying what I want to hear. Yeah, but it was all lies. So now, I mean, I hate that I'm about to be punished, but like it seems like people in America have to learn the hard way.
Sadly, agreed.
Sadly, drag us all down, drag us all to the bottom with them.
Well, it's always the people that I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. It's always the people at the bottom anyway that feel the pain, no matter if things are good or bad, right? So that's why I struggle with this, because you're right. It may just take the entire ship to sink for the reality to settle in, but it's always the people at the bottom are going to feel the worst. Always.
It's the law of marginal utility, you know, like, yeah, it's like every dollar you make after the next is less useful because you have more dollars, right? Like, yeah, right. The people at the lowest part of the economy feel everything more than the people at the top. Absolutely. That's why you watch Fox News and they're just, you know, they don't care about healthcare. They don't have a problem going to the doctor.
Nope.
It's fine. They're
Members
not
of Congress
struggling.
Don't. They've got healthcare for life, pension. They're good.
Exactly. They're absolutely fine. Nancy Mace, we're paying a lifetime pension to Nancy Mace so she can go run amok and pretend whatever she's up to. Yeah, find bullhorns and attack protesters.
You're gone.
Okay,
that's not everybody. That's not
explain
it,
to me
though.
how you get to the rest of it, because those individuals that you're talking about doesn't get you anywhere close to what Trump has said he would do in terms of deportations. Not close.
Well,
so where's the rest
I
of
think
it
I think that's where you start, and I don't know how long it will take to do that, but I think the American people would judge that to be a great place to start and a good goal to have right out of the gate.
I'm not.
Which we've explained why it wouldn't. You don't deport the cheapest labor in America and then scream we have a trade deficit. Those things are ideologically opposed if you understand the global economy, which Trump either does not.
Remember, stylistically, we were talking before. Again, they don't answer the question. So you throw red meat to say, oh, yeah, I'm sure the American people will be happy that we get rid of the criminals. And then there's no follow up, right? No follow up.
You know what I've noticed he always does, too, on the border? Because he cannot answer any questions on the border, because the answer is encounters at the border are lower now than when Donald Trump left office. That's the answer.
Exactly.
Right? By the metrics by which we measure the border, now Biden's doing better than Trump.
Correct.
So without any money, without any funding, without more asylum judges, Biden's doing better. But what you'll always hear him do is redirect, and MAGA do. Are you saying the problem's fixed? Are you saying there's not a problem? There's no problem with the F illicit substance? You know, like we can never reduce instances of crime to zero, right? That's not a thing. It will never be a perfect crimeless society, right? We can just look at statistical correlation inflation, drivers of crime, root causes, and we can endeavor to change those and to lower it, which is exactly what, in 1 year's time, from December 2023 to December 2024, we have reduced encounters at the border by 75%. If you would have asked me a year ago if that was possible, I would have said absolutely not.
I agree. Would have been no way.
Thanks, Joe Biden.
Thanks, Joe.
Right, I'm not an economist. I know Catherine is. I'm not an economist.
I will say on this conversation.
I'm looking at real ways.
This conversation, I think.
The answer was yes.
Democrats are underestimating the anger about the immigration system, the anger about the border, the crisis that it is.
Deflection that has nothing to do with the facts.
Let's talk about that. Why are people angry? It's because people on the right, like him, have told people to be angry. Exactly.
Keep lying. Do you see this? You guys are inciting their rage. That Time magazine interview is a pack of hundreds of lies meant to incite fear and rage in people. When we know Joe Biden now in December 2024 is doing better than Trump was doing at the end of his term.
Yep.
And not to mention the root causes of immigration were what Trump was up to in South America, right? People didn't leave Venezuela for no reason. It has to do with sanctions. It has to do with Trump's failed coup there. That's why they were here.
Yep.
And what Americans are willing to do to fix it. And I think there may actually be some elasticity in the American people on accepting certain short-term issues here, economic issues, if it means this can be solved.
You know what? You might be right about that. But you know who I don't think agrees with you? Donald Trump. Otherwise, he would tell the American people the truth. And he hasn't done it.
I actually don't think Scott.
But do you understand what he just said about elasticity? What this man just said, which is another slap in the face, and I don't think MAGA understands what it even means. But what he's saying is he understands that the economy is going to get worse, right? And he's still lying about the border is fixed. There's no reason for the economy to get worse. But he's saying, hey, if we lie enough to people and we say that the border's bad enough, maybe they'll accept that our economy is going to crash in order to fix it. For a little bit. That's what he said.
That's a tightrope, right? Because you promised to lower costs, and even take the deportation plan aside, tariffs are inflationary. So once again, punish American citizens by tariffing Mexico and Canada and China.
So by deporting the lower rungs of our labor workforce, you are crashing our economy. The countries don't want to take the people back, so you threaten those countries with tariffs. That costs Americans more money, right? You have to lie about some reason you're doing this. So you say, oh, the border's broken, right? So I'm going to threaten Mexico and Canada, our largest trading partners, with tariffs. I was showing you guys yesterday how now they're going to put retaliatory tariffs. I was doing research yesterday on what Canada's already doing to shut off our economy. It's terrifying. All of this... This is how American citizens will be punished because of Donald Trump.
So breaking news, Felice, in case the Republican Party is really looking out for the nation. They've really got their priorities in order. This just 48 minutes ago from Donald J. Trump. The Republican Party will use its best efforts to eliminate daylight savings time, which is a small but strong constituency, but shouldn't. Daylight savings time is inconvenient and very costly to our nation. That sentence, first of all, is one long sentence that makes no sense. But that is apparently a priority, which I'm fine with. But don't we have bigger things to worry about?
Arizona has never accepted daylight savings time. I have not been on daylight savings time my entire life, so some of us never accepted it. That was a state thing. Yeah, some places in the United States are not on daylight saving times. I'm on Mountain Standard Time year round. But yeah, no, that's actually not even Trump's idea. That actually is something that Vivek and Elon were talking about because people were asking them on Twitter.
Yeah, of course.
Naming Twitter.
Yeah. What was it? The Save the Sunlight Act. Marco Rubio was part of that, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, Trump's that's not Trump's idea.
Women are losing their lives and we have no health care, but that's important. I'm glad that's on the top of the list.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have bodily autonomy, but I'm supposed to care about what's his name, Brian Thompson's bodily autonomy.
Yeah, exactly.
So, some of half the country doesn't have bodily autonomy at and can't get the health care that we often need and are regularly unaliving while we scream about it and no one cares. And then you're trying to get me to care that a man who makes $11 million a year had his bodily autonomy violated by another white, filthy rich man. Miss me with that BS. The minute someone cares that women in this country, disproportionately brown and black women, are 3 times more likely to die in childbirth, that in southern states, the maternal mortality rate is skyrocketing, that preterm births are skyrocketing, that infant mortality is skyrocketing. The minute someone cares about women and children having our rights violated is the day that I will care that a man making $11 million a year and his job is to deny people health care had his bodily autonomy violated. I can't even believe that they can't follow this line of logic. Like, why people, I can't even believe you would ask me to care. I don't have bodily autonomy.
Nope. Preach.
A couple things. Number one.
I got to do a little introduction. I did a little thing on this yesterday at the beginning of the show. And I was telling you about, do you know facts about what Charlie Kirk and MAGA, they're really angry at Caitlin Clark? Do you know about this? Okay, so she's like one of the most famous basketball players in the world. She's very good. She's a white woman, and she made the mistake of simply just saying, like, she said, like, hey, I worked very hard. This is my skill set. My success is my own. But like the WNBA has been built off the backs of black women, and I enjoy privilege in society, and we should acknowledge their accomplishments and what they've done. It's like literally that simple. And MAGA lost their minds. They're like, you're selling out. Like, Charlie Kirk was like, I can't believe, like, in 2024, we're finally moving away from like this woke liberalism, and she's like on her knees apologizing to like black people. You know what I mean? Like, and then they start talking about it on this guy who really should not talk about it. Starts talking about it on this show.
A couple things. Number one, whether you're an athlete or anyone else, if I hear you use the phrase "my truth," I immediately then discount everything else you say because
it said a pathological liar. This man lies. His job is to sit on this show and tell lies. Hi, Joanna.
Hey. Loving the show today. I'm sure everybody in the audience is loving the people receipts. All of the people are loving our receipts. But we have a little problem. Fia already came up and told y'all to get those yapping fingers and turn them into tapping fingers. And apparently the message didn't stick because we're not at 150 yet. I need y'all to get y'all shit together. I know it's a lovely Friday. Everybody's enjoying all this phenomenal information. We're enjoying having our special guest Fax here to co-host. We're enjoying Felice give us all of this awesomeness as she does every day with her big, beautiful brain. I need y'all to show y'all's appreciation. Be active in the chat like you're doing, but you're not going to be able to be active in the chat if you don't get those fingers to flying. Also, remember to gift. Remember to share. We have 351. We need to get up to 400 shares. And we need to be up to... I'll make it an easy one like Fee did. We need 200,000 likes in the next 15 minutes, or the comments will be the fuck off.
Boom.
Thank you for being here. Love you guys. But yeah, be active in the chat. You love Felice? I love Felice. You love Fax? I love Fax. Let's show it. That's it.
Yeah, and okay. I was going to say, let's get Fax to at least 1,000 coins. It's hard to see how many coins people have in TikTok Studio. I wish everyone could see how little I could see. I don't know, like, how many, like how much tapping is going on. I mean, I could figure it out. It's just really hard. Let's keep gifting Fax. I appreciate so much that you're here, Fax. Okay, now back to this guy saying a bunch of horrible things about Caitlin Clark.
There isn't my truth or your truth. There's just the truth. And when you start using phrases like that, it tells me that
That's not true.
Your brain has been captured by something that I don't really respect.
That's not true.
Number two.
That's not true.
Number two. The attention the league got this year was amazing, and it was all because of her. She is an amazing player. The arenas were full when she played in them. The TV ratings were up when she was on television. That's undeniable. But, the league still lost like $40 million this year. And it's never made money. And to me, when you're talking about having respecting people who built something, what did they build? A league that loses money every year? She has the capacity.
What do you mean? What did they build? What do you mean? What did they build?
What kind of a business did they build?
They've had a business model that has allowed women who have never had a professional sport here in America, in the United States of America, to play. They've kept it alive as opposed to sending them overseas. That's what she's built.
He's talking about Black women that play basketball in the WNBA and devaluing them. Just to be clear, that's what this man is doing as a Division I athlete. And I like to make this point because it's the same reason I cannot stand when I hear MAGA beds start talking about how they care about women's sports and that trans women shouldn't be competing in women's sports. Like these. You know what? When women's soccer was producing more revenue, I'm talking about advertising revenue, I'm talking about marketing revenue, I'm talking about ticket sales. When women's soccer won more games, when they outpaced the men's U.S. Federation in every single category, they were paid exponentially less. To the point where they bought a lawsuit bringing up the gender pay gap and got nothing for it, literally like a pittance. And then this is something I'll take issue with Obama, actually. And then Obama had them at the White House and did an announcement and it almost seemed like he was announcing that like the gender pay gap in sports had been solved. You know what I mean? Like it was just a settlement that like made up the money that like 10 particular players who were part of the lawsuit had lost.
It's a societal
women's soccer continues to be paid nothing. But I'm saying if you talk to men about this, then they'll say this argument. They'll say, well, it's about revenue. Well, when women's soccer outpaced and produced much more revenue than men's soccer in this country, they were in the same position. If you care about women's sports, then talk about funding it and fostering it and supporting it in the same way you support men's sports.
Yeah, the league was built by Black women, and now the arguably the most famous person in the league happens to be a white woman. She speaks up and hat tips to generations before her for building the legacy that she can now benefit from, and he's all up in his fifis about it.
Oh yeah, and it gets worse.
But Scott, you're saying, but Scott, it's disrespectful for you to say, what have they built? There are little children right now, little girls at home hoping that they can play in what they call the WNBA. And the reason why it's still up and still running, whether it's losing money or not, is because of these Black women who are in this.
Isn't it because of the investors?
No, Scott, stop it. Stop it now.
It's not. I was in Dickie's arena.
Who pays for it?
I was in Dickie's arena.
Man, oh man.
I know.
Just a
truly
chaos agent.
Right. This is night after night. Like this is like, it's like Charlie Kirk's dad is what he reminds me
that
of.
Other players who came before her were Black, helped build. There's nothing controversial about that, and it doesn't need to be.
It feels so bland.
Yeah, she doesn't need to be
bland and gracious.
Why are people attacking her for that? I don't understand.
I don't know. I feel like
Caitlin Clark said was like, I just want to acknowledge and give credit to like the players that came before me. Like I can only be here because Black women built the WNBA. That's all she was saying. I only get to play in this league because Black women have built it from nothing. That's it.
Exactly.
That's all she said,
Lisa
and
Leslie,
that's
Cheryl
like
Miller,
when you get, as someone who's had media training in sports, that's what they tell you to do when you're given, facts, you work in marketing and advertising. When you're given media training, what they tell you to do is like, hey, if you're asked a question about you, first give credit to someone else, give credit to the person that passed you, give credit to the person that passed you the ball first. And then you can talk about you, give credit to your coach, give credit to the, that's what they tell you.
Defer.
She just she's gotten great media training, that's all. And now she's being crucified by a bunch of bigots.
Exactly.
Actually, I think I want to just show you something from yesterday because this annoys me this much. I want to just show you this video. This guy that I like a lot, his name is, he has I just realized I don't remember his name. He has a radio show in Nevada called Pushing the Limits. And the first time I realized who he was like at a Trump rally confronting people selling Trump sneakers and
Brian Shapiro. Brian Shapiro.
No, his name.
Is that who it is?
I don't think that's his name. He has a radio. He's an independent. He has a radio show in Las Vegas called Pushing the Limits, and this is him. And
Brian Shapiro. That's him.
Oh, is that his name? Is it Ryan or Brian?
Brian.
Okay, because I never
TikTok.
knew his name. Okay, yeah, no, I know he's on TikTok. I just know him by Pushing the Limit. So yeah, and this is what he said about the Caitlin Clark thing, which I don't agree with all of his takes as an independent, but like this, I think he pretty much nailed it.
How Republicans show their racism and their bigotry towards African Americans every single day. They're doing it in real time. So Caitlin Clark, who, if you don't know who she is, you're living under a rock, one of the best female basketball players in the world. She happens to be white, and she's a very modest woman. And she said yesterday, quote, "I want to say I've learned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them." Okay, so she's kind of lifting black athletes. Why would anybody have a problem with that? I think that's a wonderful statement, and I think she's courageous making a statement like that. And I also think she's right. She's trying to lift black female WNBA basketball players. Why would anybody have a problem with that unless you're a bigot? Charlie Kirk is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, because if you praise anybody black, Charlie Kirk is the first person to raise his hand and say, I have a problem with it. He said, Caitlin Clark is getting very bad advice. The whole country is rejecting wokeism and anti-white ideology. She has a chance to stay neutral and failed miserably. Her handlers saw this as a chance to keep woke alive. Too bad. She's an amazing athlete who totally missed on this one. And then you have others like Megyn Kelly, who said, look at this. Clark on the knees, all but apologizing for being white. First of all, they're completely wrong. Caitlin Clark isn't apologizing for being white, you racist, bigoted fools, you. She's not apologizing. She's claiming what most white people in this country, I think, would admit, unless you're a racist, is that there is something called white privilege. But you see, if you're on the far right and you're a MAGA bigot, which comes with the territory, again, anybody who lifts somebody black, in this case, Caitlin Clark, lifting WNBA female black athletes, if you're on the far right and you're a bigot, which many of them are, you're going to have a problem with this. All Caitlin Clark said is, listen, I've earned everything, which she has, but I do have something called white privilege, and let's lift female black athletes in the WNBA. Really, that's all she said. And look at all the people on the far right that have a problem with her comments. Again, it could only lead you to one conclusion. The Charlie Kirks of the world, the Megyn Kellys of the world, and anybody else like the Clay Travises of the world on social media that have a problem with anything Caitlin Clark said are racist and bigoted in nature.
I think he nailed it. That's why I had to play it. I played it yesterday, but he nailed it. Like, absolutely. And like, this is the thing. Hey, MAGA, my father is black. And I have white privilege. Like, it's almost like they don't understand it. It's even less about your actual race and more about how you're perceived. I'm going to use a big word they're not going to understand. Phenotypically in society. My father is a black person. I walked next to him, right? He's half black, half Mexican, indigenous. And I realize every time I go to the grocery store with my dad, the privilege that I sit in, period. Like, to deny it, I mean, you have to be, I guess, completely ignorant of it, or you are surrounded exclusively by white people 24 hours a day. Because just walking into the store with my dad, I know every day how much privilege I have. We're treated like two separately, like he's an alien and I'm not.
I think you and I talked about this, but we often ask ourselves why, how could women vote against their best interest, in particular white women, right? It may not be voting against their best interest, might be voting for their preservation of whiteness. right? Because where they sit on the hierarchy.
So well said.
Right?
Oh my God. I love that. That's the best way to say it. Actually, and that is what it is, right? That is the exchange white women make with the patriarchy, like the seat of power. That's what intersectionality is about, right? The seat of power is white, straight, Protestant, Anglo-Saxon males, right? And every degree you get away from that, you lose 1 degree of power, right? So as long as you're just a white woman, you're 1 degree from the seat of power. And there's almost an agreement of I'll protect you, you protect me, But when you get so many degrees away, say you're a Black, disabled, lesbian woman, right? That's what intersectionality is about, because white feminists, white women would say, hey, we're all in the feminist movement. And Black, disabled, lesbian women would be like, hey, I don't think you're effectively grasping my experience down here. I think we are having 2 completely separate experiences. And that's what intersectionality was about. It's developed by a Black woman from UCLA, an extremely intelligent, I believe she's a lawyer. Her name's Kimberly Crenshaw.
So anytime deference is paid by a white person to a Black person, or any person of color, or any person who's not a cis white hetero person in our society, the whitey nationalists and the Christian nationalists and the people like Charlie Kirk get up all up in their shit, because they see the changing demographics in our country. They see the population becoming more diverse, and it becomes a threat. And every time we see it, and now we're seeing it more. And I'm hoping other people are starting to. You've seen it forever. I've been watching it for a long time. I think more people need to start seeing it, because there's little nuggets, there's little breadcrumbs here and there, and it's like, yeah, there's another example, there's another example, there's another example. Preservation.
Well, I say this, they're very smart, right? There's a book written in the 80s by a man named Ben J. Wattenberg. It's called The Birth Dearth. And he was an advisor to, I think, 3 or 4 presidents. This man was very intelligent, and that's what he was doing. He was using data science, right? MAGA hates math, but some smart people on the right could do math. And he was writing books decades and decades ago saying, hey, in 2040, we're going to lose the white majority in America. We are going to lose the seat of power. We need to start planning now what to do about that. And he talked about the declining birth rates. He was forecasting all of this, and how, well, hey, in Europe, they're subsidizing births, or they're paying women to give birth. But if we do that here, they're paying everyone. We don't want to pay the brown people. It's literally him analyzing, what do we do to maintain the white majority, which I actually think, I think it's very obvious the Dobbs decision we need to they want to increase the white birth rate. But the problem with that is who gets ABs?
Exactly.
People with access to capital. So it's actually because I do a show, if you guys don't know, on Tuesdays from 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I do a show called The Broadcast, taking back the word broad, with a doctor. Her name's Danielle, and Mandy, who's great, potty mouth Pollyanna. And we talk about how conservative policy affects women. So I'm constantly poring over data in maternal deserts and places with these really strict AB bans. And it's very ironic, because they're actually increasing in Texas the birth rate of Hispanic children.
Right.
Because they don't have access to capital. ABs are a privilege.
Yeah, if you think about, so the deportation exercise, the suppressing of BIPOC voices across the country, all these kinds of things are part of the white supremacy, first of all, and the systemic racism that's built in our country. Again, a country that's built by people who look like me to benefit people who look like me. So I've read The Birth Dearth. It's amazing. And if you follow the line of logic, right, it's the top of the pyramid slipping away, losing some power, and all of a sudden we are not going to be in the majority anymore. And other people who look like me don't know how to handle it. And the reaction is to come out full-blown, bigoted, racist, write laws, taking away the rights of individuals. Marriage needs to be between a man and a woman. We want to repopulate white society. This is it. It's called the birth dearth.
If you listen to the smart white nationalists and Christian nationalists, they're admitting to it. They'll say it. I say, that's why the phrase becomes really true. Like, hey, not all Republicans are racist, but all racists vote for conservative policies because it's it's a social engineering project. Like that's essentially what conservative policies are doing. It's a literal social engineering project. And I wanted to just go to this because again, this goes towards, this is a ProPublica article that came out today. If you don't know, I keep having to hear on Fox News how horrible it is. What has United Healthcare ever done? This is an expose by a Pulitzer Prize winning ProPublica. If you don't follow them, I suggest signing up for their free email list, and these articles can come to your email. This is the most disturbing. You can listen to these articles too. ProPublica does like I said, they win Pulitzer Prize awards. They're the ones that uncovered the stuff about Clarence Thomas and the Supreme Court justices enriching themselves. They won a Pulitzer Prize for that. So this is a 20 minutes of your life. And believe me, as a former teacher, early childhood education, you need to understand what United Health. This is just one of the many things that it's Optum, which is under the United Healthcare Group parent company's banner. Optum had $22 billion in profits last year, $22 billion. And they are denying autistic children the care they need.
Average CEO salary is $22 million for the top 8 healthcare companies in our country.
Oh, puzzle piece. Hold on. Yay. Okay. Sorry. The live is not going to end. I got it done. I just wanted to well, listen to this. So, and this also goes to the RFK thing because it's complete BS saying that vaccines cause autism. There's much science around this that completely disproves that. Why are there more autism diagnoses? Because we've got better at diagnosing it, because science has marched on, right? The DSM has marched on. We've defined better what autism is. We have done a lot of research into it. That is why more people are being diagnosed, not because of vaccines. It used to be, like, here's the example that I just want to point out. This is what RFK is muttering about, right? It says, but the company's costs have climbed, right, as the number of children diagnosed with autism has ballooned. Experts say greater awareness and improved screening have contributed to a 4-fold increase in the past 2 decades, from 1 in 150 to 1 in 136. That's better access. Do you know autism diagnoses, if you don't have insurance, it's like between $5 and $10 grand for one. Mm-hmm. Right? So insurance had to start covering this stuff because of Democratic legislation. And I'm neurodivergent. People have been able to have access to the healthcare to get kids the care that they need. And this is basically an expose on the corporate strategy of Optum, which is a company owned by United Healthcare Group, and their strategy to deny children the autistic care that have been diagnosed as autistic, the care that they need. It says, literally, look at this. Key opportunities are outlined in bullets in the documents. While acknowledging some areas have very long wait lists for the therapy, the company says it aims to prevent new providers from joining the network and terminate existing ones, including cost outliers. If an insurer drops a provider from its networks, patients may have to find a new clinician that accepts their insurance or pay up to tens of thousands of dollars a year for out-of-pocket therapy. The company has calculated that in some states, this reduction could impact more than 2/5 of its ABA. Oh, I just forgot. Could someone tell me what ABA stands for before I get it wrong? It's behavior. It's the number one recommended therapy. What does ABA stand for? I mean, that's what I want to know before I get the acronym wrong. It's the number one type of applied behavior analysis. Thank you. This is the number one, like, in terms of data science and what is the most effective therapy for autistic children, especially in early child development. This is the best therapy, applied behavior analysis. But it's not acute, right? It's not a problem you can just put a Band-Aid on and send them away. It takes hours and hours a week, and they don't want to pay for it. So they've come up with all of these corporate strategies to deny autistic children the care that they need. This is the oligarchy, right? And I showed you guys I showed them a tweet yesterday. Actually, maybe I'll just show you guys again. Mute the media. Do you know? I think his name's Matt. Do you know who that is? He's on TikTok.
I don't think so.
I
guess I should.
I don't know why I was going to say he's angry. It's like righteous anger. That's what I'm trying. Like, I don't mean he's angry in a bad way. I mean, this is someone who is just, angry in the best way. And
when you're pulling that up, just as a reminder, people, the dirty little secret in the insurance industry, because I worked in it for years, is that a profit center in that industry is claim denial. It's one of the reasons they partition customer service and claims from underwriting, from policy support. It's by design. It's built into P&Ls. This is how many claims we can expect to deny, not whether or not they're viable or not. It's literally how Rainmaker, the movie with Matt Damon and Danny DeVito, they go through that exercise. I mean, again, these companies, their business model is built on denying claims. So,
but they don't even do it with humans anymore. It's not human beings denying the claims. It's algorithms. They're automatic denials. They're called prior authorizations. It's algorithmic that denies people's claims, deny, delay, defend. That's why that was on those pew, the things that shot out of that pew. That's what he's talking about. That is Feynman. That's the professor from Rutgers. That's him writing a book about the insurance company strategies to deliver more profits to their shareholders and allow people to unalive.
Correct.
And you guys, I know who Matt is. I know who USMC Angry Veteran is. I'm on his group texts every Thursday. No, if you guys don't know who Mute the Media is, like, I'll show you right now. But this is what I'm trying to tell you about this. Like, he's talking about the healthcare industry. Elon Musk basically put out a tweet a couple of days ago and said, whatever a corporation has to do, if that's denying children the care that they need and that leads to them unaliving, that's their fiduciary duty to deliver shareholders profits. And that's fine. Elon Musk is dead. He's serious about this. He's just saying corporations' job is to deliver money to their shareholders. So whatever they do in service of that is, you'll recognize him. I'm talking about him. It's Mute the Media 3.0. Yeah, you know when you see him.
Everything going on right now, Elon Musk tweeted the following: "It's disgusting how everyone's turning this guy into some kind of folk hero. Insurance companies, like any company, have a duty to shareholders to maximize profit, no matter how ruthlessly." What he's saying right there, by the way, is we have to enact violence to make money. It's our duty, right? But the radical left, espousing otherwise, needs to grow the hell up. So all you motherfuckers out there who think that people should just, have access to medical care, right? They shouldn't fucking die, right? Because they don't have access to medical care. They shouldn't get fucking denied, right? Trying to get access to medical care. All you guys are childish. You need to grow the fuck up. That's what Elon Musk's telling you. And remember, in pursuit of profit for him and his companies and their shareholders, violence is okay. But if anyone dares go against that, they're fucking childish. Violence is wrong then, yeah? Fuck these people, bro.
I love
on that topic. Can I read something real quick?
Righteous anger.
This is from, this is brief. It's from the Reasoned Reality Project. And I found this and I think it really summarizes it very, very well. It's how Reagan's policies and evangelical support shaped today's healthcare crisis. Before the 1980s, health insurance wasn't about profits. Organizations like Blue Cross operated as nonprofits to ensure access to care. Their mission was simple: process claims so people could get the help that they needed. Then came Reagan. His presidency ushered in an area of deregulation and privatization, which continues today, ironically. Blue Cross transitioned to a for-profit model. Healthcare became a business prioritizing shareholder returns over patient care. Premiums rose, claims were denied, and millions were priced out of life-saving treatment. Here's where it gets interesting. Reagan's rise to power wasn't just about economics. It was fueled by evangelical Christians, focused on cultural issues like abortion, school prayer. They formed a powerful voting bloc that propelled him into office. While their focus was morality, their political support enabled policies that reshaped the economy, including the healthcare system we know today. The ripple effect, when religion drives politics, the consequences go far beyond social issues. Today's for-profit healthcare system is a product of that era. Maybe it's time we rethink the relationship between religion, politics, and public policy.
Who wrote that? I love that.
I'll send it to you.
That's
yeah,
powerful.
It's from the Reasoned Reality. It's author of Deconstructing Dogma, which you've probably read that. I'll send it to you.
That's why we need to deconstruct with religion. We can't just stop with the patriarchy and white supremacy, misogyny. It's like religion is a necessary piece of deconstruction. I could not agree more. And everyone, I hope you guys know, or you saw it. If you want to find who made that video, and he's on TikTok all the time yelling, and it's amazing. It's super inspiring. It's Mute the Media. I think that was probably from Mute the Media 3.0. He goes through a lot of accounts. He goes through a lot of accounts. So just look up Mute the Media and you'll find whichever accounts he has that are active, because I said at the beginning his name's Matt. I don't personally even know him. I just have listened to him since like the day I got on TikTok and was just like, this is amazing. Now I just want to get into that. So you heard what Matt said and how hypocritical that is. And I just want to go through, right? It's wrong. Sorry. And I'm not abusing my cat. He has separation anxiety. If you can hear that's my cat screaming. He's eaten 6 times today. He has 5 beds with 2 electric blankets that are currently on. He is well taken care of. Mr. Mittens is just a little bit spoiled. So we've talked about, you heard what he said. Now I just want to go through, right? They're saying it's wrong to unalive someone. Well, what I hear them saying is, hey, that guy, the CEO of United Healthcare, his bodily autonomy was violated. I made the argument that women's bodily autonomy is being violated every day. I don't have bodily autonomy. Maternal mortality is rising, right? You know what Texas did when maternal mortality started rising, meaning more women are dying in childbirth, disproportionately Black and brown women? They announced on November 26th, they're not going to review and report on November 26th, they're not going to review and report on November 26th, they're not going to review and report on November 26th, they're not going to review and report on And in Georgia, another place with an AB ban, they fired the entire maternal mortality review committee in one fell swoop. You know why? ProPublica got the medical records and the decisions of 2 of those cases. 2 Black women, Amber Nicole Thurman and Candy Miller, 2 Black women who the maternal mortality review committee in Georgia said never had to unalive. Right? Never had to be unalive, completely preventable. And ProPublica published that. They couldn't catch the culprit that told the truth, so Georgia fired them all. We are in an oligarchical, fascist, authoritarian society. But let's see who does get rewards for unaliving people, because we do glorify people who unalive people in this country. So let's just see who is it okay if they unalive someone. Oh, here we go. Did you know today it was announced that Daniel Penny will be going with Trump and JD Vance and DeSantis and Pete Hegseth to the Army-Navy football game? This is a man who unalived a Black man who was in a mental health crisis on a New York subway. He gets to go to a football game for unaliving, for holding someone in a chokehold for 6 minutes, who actually never touched anyone, was yelling, was in a mental health crisis. He's schizophrenic. Do you know why Jordan Neely's schizophrenic? I can tell you why. Because a few years ago, they found his mom stuffed into a suitcase, unalived. And that caused a decline in his mental health. And he was later diagnosed as schizophrenic and has been wandering around New York and got on a subway and was yelling that he wanted to hurt himself or someone else, but never touched anyone. And I talked about this a couple days ago, how Fox spent the entire day when that Luigi kid was arrested saying, this guy's a hero. They were saying, I'm sure Trump will let him walk out with him at a UFC game. Oh, no, they're going to go to a football game together. He's a hero. You unalive a destitute Black man in a mental health crisis and get away with it, you're a hero.
You celebrate Kyle Rittenhouse, You say he stood up for something. He defended the rights of others, and meanwhile, unreal, the hypocrisy. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I'll just show you. This is the tweet. I went and looked it up because I was like, this cannot be real. No, this is JD Vance today. Daniel's a good guy, and New York's mob district attorney, meaning Alvin Bragg, by the way, which tried to ruin his life for having a backbone.
No dog whistle there.
Yeah, it's a major dog whistle. I'm grateful he accepted my invitation and hope he's able to have fun and appreciate how much his fellow citizens admire his courage.
Celebrated. He's celebrated for what he did. Celebrated.
This is real life. This is not a drill, people. We are not sometimes I'm like, this has to be a joke. This cannot be society, but it is. This is where we're at. I want to show you guys. Well, first, I think just to lighten the mood a little, I'm just going to actually, this is not. We're in the laugh so we don't cry stage. I don't think this is lightening the mood. It's just a little lighter than what I just showed you. It's Nancy Mace. I'm just going to show you what Nancy Mace is up to. But again, it's bigotry. So just, you know what we've been talking about with Nancy Mace and the crap she's always up to?
I would like to make this plug that we raise money for Felice to go and knock on Nancy Mace's door in D.C. and bring a big letter, like your own Skyro letter.
We should get Anarchy. Do you know who Anarchy Princess is?
I do. Yeah. Just like a big letter F you on your sweater.
To follow Nancy. We should fund her following Nancy Mace around with like a sign. Cause she's an expert on she knows like all the laws, like never touches anyone. Like we should pay her to follow Nancy Mace around.
That would be awesome.
For like months. Can you imagine? And just with the cowbell she always has. If you guys don't know who the Anarchy Princess is, you can look her up on Twitter, and she followed Steve Bannon around before he went into jail for months. She's really funny.
Just get a bigger bullhorn.
Yeah, she's amazing. I think Nancy would start having a really bad time. So I just want to show this before I make you listen to these horrible clips of Nancy Mace saying horrible things, which trigger warning. But again, oopsies. Push the wrong button. So many buttons on TikTok Studio. This is the complaint, right? Nancy Mace is claiming she was assaulted. Again, she was at an event for foster care youth, and there are 3 or 4 witnesses that have said to media and the police that they just saw a man shake Nancy Mace's hand. And this is the actual complaint. So I just want to prove that the actual police complaint says that she was the victim of, there we have it, a handshaking motion. The subject began to aggressively and an exaggerated up and down handshaking moment. The effect as her arm was flailing for about 3 to 5 seconds.
I don't even know how to react to that.
No, I believe that someone shook Nancy Mace's hand. What are you talking about? I believe that someone shook Nancy Mace's hand for 3 to 5 seconds. This is the police report. I'm reading it to you.
Oh, I know. I know the story.
Someone in the comments said, believe all women. I did. I'm reading. This is, and not just to be clear.
Oh, okay.
This is her statement. That's what I'm reading. This is what Nancy Mace said happened. I just highlighted it.
It's unbelievable. My God.
Yeah, it says, to be clear, hand was between both of the subject's hands. Sorry, I have to make it smaller for a second. The victim stated that the subject began to aggressively and in an exaggerated manner shake her arm up and down in a hand shaking motion. Now, that sounds like the movement of a handshake. And let's just say, because again, I'm telling you, I've also read the witness reports. So just to be clear, I've looked into the criminal complaint, and unfortunately, they don't go along with, Nancy Mace doesn't say anything happened. That's my point. This is her account. This is the worst case scenario. So worst case scenario, it's not as bad as what Trump did to Macron last Saturday in France. Trump assaulted the French president while we all watched last Saturday.
Macron should come out and say that. I had to go to
Macron
universal health
should
care.
have Trump arrested for
I was treated
assaulting a
freely
French.
because we don't have to pay for our health care in our country. But I was injured from Trump's handshake.
Yeah, again, I am believing women. I'm believing Nancy Mace's own testimony. This is it.
Exactly.
During the shaking moment, the victim advised that the subject stated, "Trans youth deserve advocacy." That's actually what the witnesses say too. I mean, pretty much. I think she's telling the truth. I think someone shook her hand and said, well, the witnesses say it was something more like, because they were at a foster care event and they said 30% of foster care are LGBTQIA, basically. 30% of foster care kids are part of the LGBTQIA, and trans kids need advocacy too. That's what they were saying. So I think everyone agrees about what was happening. That's Nancy Mace's story, which that's pretty much the same thing. Everyone just says someone shook Nancy Mace's hand and said, trans youth need advocacy. So we actually do all agree on it, I think. But listen to this.
They will steal. They'll do anything. They will lie. They will cheat. They will steal. They will do anything to control the narrative. And in fact, someone who is affiliated with the guy that assaulted me called into my office, actually two of my offices, my DC office and an office in South Carolina, yesterday morning, hours after I was physically accosted, making the threat that all these pro-tranny people online were going to organize against me. And that's what they did yesterday. And I have a warning for any media outlet that says,
sorry, I didn't think that she said that in this clip. I just recorded it. I don't think I remembered she said that, or I would have said trigger warning. Wow. I apologize. I honestly didn't even know that she said that.
As I wrongly, falsely accused.
But she has been posting that all over her social media.
Nancy Mace, who used to be a 10 toes down supporter for LGBT rights.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she a year ago
survivor. Yeah.
1 year ago, she herself described her as a pro-transgender supporter. 3 years ago, she co-sponsored a bill called the Fairness for All Act, which was in support of the transgender community. So you tell me who doesn't make any sense.
This guy physically accosting me, of assaulting me, that is defamation. And so I would be walking on eggshells if I were you.
Again, that was the police complaint. Oh, does she mean because I think she means because I don't know what publication this is, but it says, does she mean because there's like quotes around assault? Is that what she means? I mean, I know that the minute this happened, the Washington Post had a story out with like 3 witnesses who were like, all I saw was a handshake. Actually, I believe the exact words were from someone named Elliot Hinkle that said, I think that it was what I witnessed was a handshake that any lawmaker could expect to get from one of their constituents. That was the exact quote.
Wasn't there also a story, Felice, on her having multiple burner accounts, and she commented on something and she posted and forgot to change her
that's
account?
part. Yeah, I was showing that yesterday. Yeah, she's posted hundreds of times about this, but when you have burner accounts and you're pretending to be like a sympathetic person, but you forget to log out of your main account. Yeah, that's what happened to her yesterday. It was quite. Listen to this again. I don't remember exactly what this clip says, but I think it's gross. So I don't think she says that again that I remember, but I also didn't remember the first time.
Wait a second. These people are pagans. Like, they are truly fascistic in their politics.
It's evil. It's demonic. I mean, this is a fight. This is a battle between good and evil. And I said yesterday, I was like, LGBs need to divorce the T's. It has nothing to do with one another. We need to bring them into the Republican Party. And we say we're going to protect women and kids because this is ridiculous. It's outrageous. And my rights don't end where their feelings begin. These guys need to be put in a mental health hospital and a mental health institution and get the help that they truly need. It is a mental illness and nothing less.
And just remember, Benny, by the way, took lots of Russian money, FYI.
Oh, yeah. He's one of the tenant media people. But again, I just thought, because Nancy Mace likes to talk about media. This is her co-sponsoring a transgender rights bill. Not saying I support it, in Congress, co-sponsoring a transgender rights bill in 2021. I just went ahead and just did a screenshot for anyone who wants to go ahead and look up Nancy Mace's long history of abject hypocrisy and confusion as to who and what she, who she is and what she believes. Yeah, it's called the Fairness for All Act. And I just went ahead as well and just took it a step further and highlighted her, her name as a co-sponsor. March 11th, 2021, Nancy Mace was co-sponsoring transgender rights bills. And now she's, I guess at this point, who knows?
It's the distraction. It's all part of the game.
No, it's because Trump was going to primary her. I mean, we all know why. We absolutely know why. I just want. And I took a couple more screenshots as far as what Nancy Mace is up to. Or wait, so this is Jesse Kelly. This is funny. I think he is a Republican. Actually, I trust a single piece of single ply toilet paper after a straight tequila night more than I trust whatever the latest PR campaign from Nancy Mace happens to be. Come on, people, learn to sniff out a phony who's playing you for a sucker. I'm just showing the receipts. That's my job, just showing receipts. This is how the people feel.
And in Trump's interview with Time Magazine, the word salad, lie, debacle, whatever you want to call it, he goes back and forth on his sentiment towards the LGBTQI community. His word salad and his hate are just, again, for people to read it, I'd just say buckle up. That's all I can tell you.
Oh yeah, and this,
but Nancy Mace is following his lead.
Yeah, and Ron Filipkowski was pointing out, this is Turning Point USA, which is Charlie Kirk's organization based out of Phoenix. Look at this. This is just the Scripps National Spelling Bee allows third graders to spell women as women. You have to be kidding.
What?
I'm just showing you. I'm reporting on the receipts. Don't ask me. Don't ask me. I guess we're now taking issue with spelling bees because this is a personal affront to Charlie Kirk. Like, what? I'm just showing you where we're at in society. Meanwhile, back at the oligarchy, just wanted to show you the new ambassador to Colombia. This is a Florida personal injury lawyer who donated $1.2 million to Trump PACs, who now gets to be the ambassador to Colombia. Yeah, and that's the point. What Nancy Mace is doing, don't worry. I mean, it's a distraction, right? Well, we argue who's in what bathroom. Rich people consolidate power. Trickle up economics continues to happen, right? MAG is looking for who has their money. It's not immigrants. There's 15 billionaires in the White House, and that doesn't count the people who have hundreds of millions of dollars. I know. I don't know what's going on. It's not the.
There's a question that was asked in that interview. It says, "Can I?" The interviewer says, "Can I shift to the transgender issue?" Obviously, sort of a major issue during the campaign in 2016. You said that transgender people could use whatever bathroom they choose. Do you still feel that way? And then Trump says, "When was that?" I don't want to get into the bathroom issue because it's a very small number of people we're talking about, and it's ripped apart our country. So they'll have to settle whatever the law finally agrees. I'm a big believer in the Supreme Court, and I'm going to go by their rulings. And so far, I think their rulings have been rulings that people are going to go along with. But we're talking about a very small number of people, and we're talking about it, and it gets massive coverage, and it's not a lot of people. That's his answer to that question. Never mind. I'm going to lean in as the president of the United States and be sure to protect all Americans. I'm just going to not answer the question and let people like Nancy Mace own the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, and I screenshotted it because it's so ridiculous. If you want to know, like Trump, there was 11,000 like 200 something words in his time interview. The entire transcript is out, and you can read it. And on everything, like women, I thought the issue, like the transgender issue, was one like where he just pivoted repeatedly back and forth. Same with women's healthcare. He's like, oh, I'm not going to ban the AB pill, but I can't say never. I can't say never. Right. It might come up. There might be a reason I might have to do it, but I said I wouldn't, and I almost never would, but I can't say never. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. Hi, Joanna.
Hey, still loving the show. She should be really glad that I'm in Arkansas and not in DC, because that little brace that she had on, yeah, like, ma'am, I would give you an actual reason to call those people and file a report. Stop playing in people's faces.
Ma'am.
But right. I didn't even come up to yell at y'all this time. I just came to say congratulations on the tapping fingers. You're using them for yapping and tapping, which we love. We're already at 268K. Let's get it up to 300. Y'all are doing great. I'm so proud of y'all. I love being able to yap in the comments with y'all while we all tap. Continue to gift. Continue to like. Keep those fingers going. You see, if you want the link to the Discord, send a message to @FelizNavidad Live. Make sure you're also subscribed to the YouTube channel at A Girl Has No Name, because the replays are there. If you miss anything, you want to go back and look at something that you thought stood out to you, but you forgot, the outlines are in the Discord, and then the replays are on YouTube. If you want Felice to read a message, send a couple coins to her Venmo or her Cash App. Also at A Girl Has No Name, which is right on the screen. We love that you've gotten facts up to 148K. Let's try to get them up to 2,000 before the end of the live. I also see that y'all got the shares up. We're at 1.1K. Let's get to 1.5. We love all the work that you're doing, being gleeful participants. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Joanna. You're amazing. I just saw that, Stacey. Stacey just said in the chat, Ken Paxton just sued an NY doctor because she prescribed a B pill to a Texas woman who asked for it. That sounds right on brand with Ken Paxton, truly. And Sue said, thank you so much, Sue, for the tip. It says, I have a me problem. I cannot stand when live creators call us chat. I know that's silly, but thanks for not calling us chat. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me. That's funny. And Michelle said, thank you so much, Blue Heart. Thank you, Michelle. Hearts to you. Let's just go through. I just made some clips of Trump at the New York Stock Exchange. Like, at first, I actually do have excerpts of the Time interview of Trump's I was going to go through. But by the third time I listened to it, I started to realize, actually, it's disingenuous to even go through it, because it just, I could show you one part and then in another, later he'll contradict it. Do you know what I mean? It just seems like.
Exactly. The only thing I'll say, and I shared this with you in my little highlights, was the piece about Ukraine was very telling to me, showing exactly how leveraged he is. He never said, hey, the quickest way to end this war is for Putin to leave. And he never said that at all. Instead, what he said was he was ultra critical of Zelensky for authorizing missiles to be launched into Moscow. That was his complaint. If that does not tell you how leveraged he is, I don't know what will. Anywho.
And also, like, just as someone who has a history degree and focused on Western civilization, like, the purpose of the longer range missiles, just to be clear, if you don't understand what Biden was doing, was leverage in a negotiation, right?
Exactly.
That is why, like, the casualties have evened out with those long range missiles, which will bring Putin to the table. It's not because Putin respects Trump. It's because damage is being inflicted at a higher rate, right? And it
Correct.
gives Zelensky leverage. So when Trump is saying, oh, I hate that he did that, Trump's saying, oh, he's made it harder for me to, give Putin what he wants, basically. Because
exactly,
now Zelensky has more leverage.
That's exactly right. Still no pressure on Putin whatsoever. None. And any of the questions that were asked by that reporter in that interview, it's embarrassing as an American.
Yeah, then he starts muttering about Kim Jong-un. But do you know what I mean? And he's like, but he's my friend, and I'm pretty much the only one that's ever dealt with him, and he likes me.
Love letters.
It's like, And even Netanyahu, I was kind of shocked, like, because for a while there, Trump was pretty bitter at Netanyahu for not helping him, unalive Soleimani. So,
Yeah.
and I was shocked at even how deferential he sounds towards Netanyahu. Like, he kept being like, well, everyone forgets about October 7th. Everyone forgets about October 7th. That was horrible, not just for Israel. It was horrible for all of us. Please remember October 7th. And the guy was like, are you going to let Israel annex the West Bank? And Trump was like, I don't know. We'll see. And he's like, well, what about the two-state solution? Like, are you for the two-state solution? And he's like, well, there's many solutions. There could be any number of solutions. It doesn't have to be the two-state solution. And, when you choose Mike Huckabee, like an evangelical Zionist, you choose Marco Rubio, who's screaming in the halls of Capitol Hill that it doesn't matter how many Palestinians are unalived because it's H group's fault. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
it's setting the stage for how this is all going to go.
Yeah. They don't want to talk about October 5th, of course, but that's a different story, different conversation.
It always is. Keep tapping the screen, guys. I so appreciate you. So anyways, part of Trump being the Time Man of the Year, which remember, the reason that's happening is another very rich man who is the CEO of Salesforce, his name is Mark Benioff, also owns Time Magazine, right? This is another oligarchical favor, made Trump the Time Man of the Year, gave him that long interview, and then he showed up and rang the bell at the New York Stock Exchange yesterday to commemorate it and muttered incoherently about how excited he is for billionaires to get whatever they want.
Unreal.
But the media's tamed down a little bit. They're liking us much better now, I think. If they don't, we'll have to just take them on again, and we don't want to do that. But I do want.
Do you hear what he's doing? He's literally making THREATSs against the media. That's what he's doing. He's saying, I think we've whipped him into. And that's like, he's talking about Joe and Mika crawling on their knees to him. He's talking about the owner, another billionaire in the medical and healthcare industry, the billionaire owner of the Los Angeles Times, stepping in and stopping people from writing opinion pieces about Trump. That's what he's talking about. These are for-profit companies that don't want their profits to be turned off. And so Trump's saying, hey, I think we've got them under control, but if not, like, they can get it again. And look, that is Melania, or they have found an actual body double for her at this point. Or they have found an actual body double for her at this point. Or they have found an actual body double for her at this point. Or they have found an actual body double for her at this point. He learned at the feet of George Soros. So MAGA, it's interesting. But I mean, they actually stand for nothing. So it doesn't matter that he learned everything from. And when he left George Soros and got his own fund, he failed. Just to also be clear, like Scott Bassett left his, the guy that taught him, or, he learned at his feet, and then his own fund was failing right before Trump snatched him up. And did you hear what Trump said? Trump said, I like Scott Bessent because he started saying publicly that the stock market was only going up under Biden, which we know that's not why. It was because we were recovering the best in the G7 from COVID. But Scott Bessent was saying publicly, oh, it's just because everyone knows Trump will be in office soon, which, I actually do need to show you one thing that'll make you laugh too. I just found the screenshot at the end, which, hold on. This is at the, almost at the close of the stock market yesterday, by the way. So Trump rang the bell yesterday. Just saying. Confidence is high, guys. Confidence is high. They were
sector,
so Really, they really felt great about Trump being there in the future. I mean, I would feel very worried because Trump can't do math. Like, I mean, if I was invested in the stock market and I started realizing, like, oh, he doesn't understand that energy production is a tightrope walk, I'd be very worried. Here, let me, and again, back to these weird comments Trump was making at the New York Stock Exchange before he rang the bell.
Well, since the election and even before, and Scott.
Oops, sorry.
I know you've got a ton of things to do, but what can you say to the working person who owns stocks? Should they buy more stock?
Well, I don't want to get into a situation where they do and we have a dip or something, because that can always happen. You know that better than anybody in the world, probably. I think you're the leading authority in going
Didn't
up.
Trump say, "Oh, buy stock, buy stock. As soon as I'm in office, the stock market's going to soar. It's going to soar, everyone." Just like he told everyone to invest in Truth Social.
Right.
How's that doing? And then when asked outright, should people buy? Are you confident in the stock market? You've been telling everyone the stock market was going to soar. Are you confident in it? No.
Who owns stocks? Should they buy more stock?
Well, I don't want to get into a situation where they do and we have a dip or something, because that can always happen. You know that better than anybody in the world, probably. I think you're the leading authority in going up and going down, but you always end up. He always ends up. That's the good news. But we have Doug Burgum standing right over here has done a fantastic job. He's been on your show many times, and we have just tremendous people. I would say I think long term, this is going to be a country like no other. We had the 3 best years ever until COVID came in, and then we did a good job getting rid of it. The stock market, if you look at the markets, were higher than just previous to COVID coming in when we handed it over. And
what?
Oh, you mean COVID made the stock market go down? God help us all. It's almost like state the obvious guy is back. But you know what? Someone mentioned grocery prices, and that, I don't think we should go through the Time Magazine interview screenshot for screenshot, but that's the craziest part of it, right?
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Basically, what happened in that Time magazine, to me, what stood out the most is Trump literally ran on promising MAGA, oh, don't worry, I'm coming in, grocery prices are going to go down, which they're not, right? Tariffs mean prices go up, period. End of
Even
story.
without tariffs, Felice, can you point to a time in our history when prices have gone down for anything?
No, they don't. That's what inflation is. Just to be clear, unless we somehow went into deflation, which would never happen, inflation is the rate at which prices increase. Right?
Exactly.
Prices are always increasing. And now think about it. You have to take a basic macroeconomics class. But what Trump is saying to billionaires is, hey, for a cool billion, we'll deregulate whatever market you want. Right? This is an oligarchy. If you get a cool billion, we'll deregulate for you. Deregulate means we're going to cut the red tape for mergers, right? When there's less competition, in a capitalistic market, prices go up. The fewer companies, when there's just 3 billionaires who own 3 companies and those are your choices. I tell people this all the time. It looks in the grocery store like you have a lot of choices, right? That's what it looks like. You don't. 2 companies. It used to be 3. Right? It was ConAgra, it was Heinz, and it was Kraft. And pretty much every product in the grocery store that's on the shelves was owned by one of those 3. And then the Heinz-Kraft merger happened. You basically have 2 companies owning 66% of the shelf space. They own all the products. You think oh, I'm not going to buy this Heinz product. I'm going to get this Kraft one. Same company. Sorry.
Same product.
ConAgra
I was in
owns
the coffee industry. I was in the coffee industry at the time of that merger, so I'm with you. I always use the fertilizer industry as a model. There's only 3 companies that own 98% of the fertilizer market in our nation, and again, this is similar depending on branding, depending on packaging. It's all the same group. Which they bought up all the small mom and pop fertilizer manufacturers, and now they own the entire market. And that's exactly what oligarchs do. They consolidate all that power through corporate buyouts, M&As. Exactly.
They collude to keep prices high, right?
Correct.
That is the point of crony capitalism. A true free market, competition can enter the market, right? And I've talked to people about this, but there's a great book talking about how capitalism's already over. We've entered techno-feudalism, right? All these guys that just gave Trump $1 million today for his inauguration, these are the new feudal lords. They own the marketplace. It used to be in capitalism, you could bring your cart of apples to the marketplace and sell them for free. Now, the marketplaces are owned by billionaires. Jeff Bezos owns Amazon. Mark Zuckerberg owns Facebook marketplaces. And if you want to sell a product there, you have to cut them in. They're feudal lords now, right? We're serfs. You want to sell a product, you owe them money first and foremost. You get too big, they buy you out, or they lower their prices until they put you out of business. Like
they call it the power of, in like the CGI consumer goods industry, they call it the power of placement. Like that's the reason that someone will come to Walmart with an innovative idea and Walmart says, oh, you think you can sell it for $1.49? We say 29 cents. And again, the power of placement. So that small business operator or that entrepreneur has but no choice, because Walmart will then steal their IP and then turn it into their own product center. So that's what happens in oligarchies in corporate America. That's what we're trying to talk about here. This is why we're saying, why would we continue to simp for billionaires when they get richer and richer and richer and richer?
He showed that all the profits are going up. It's trickle up economics. Like the math makes perfect sense. Nothing has trickled down since Reagan, period. And I can't remember, maybe you know better than me, Fax, but it's not just the companies. They call them the grocery cartel, right? The grocery lobby that lobbies in Washington. That's what their name is. That's how feared they are. It's the products are like ConAgra, Heinz, Kraft, but the actual grocery stores. Do you guys know that Kroger and like one of the largest mergers of all time is like, which is every antitrust specialist is like, this cannot be allowed to happen. Kroger and Albertsons are trying to merge, but I think it might have fallen through like yesterday. But if that, I can't remember, there was a law. It used to be that like, you remember when, I mean, I don't, but do you remember, I heard there used to be small grocery stores owned by one man.
IGAs. Yeah. IGAs.
Yeah. And there were federal regulations. That's what protected mom and pop grocery stores, were federal regulations that said you have to sell your goods to the mom and pop stores at the same rate you sell to someone who owns, say, 1,000 stores. So these people aren't priced out. And when that regulation was removed, that's when you saw all of these huge companies start absorbing the mom and pop stores. And now the two biggest chains are trying to consolidate. How will we get food? There's no competition. We can go to Amazon, we can go to Walmart, or we could go to the Albertsons Kroger merger.
Yeah, for the party and the ideology that believes in the free market, they are so anti-free market. Every decision they make is anti-free market. It supports conglomerates. It supports monopolies. They don't even realize it. They don't even realize it. Again, billionaires.
Wake up, MAGA. We're all in the same life raft. We're all in the same life raft. Our ability to survive is dependent on some of you learning how to do math. You can do this.
Billionaires in the cabinet setting policies that will benefit billionaires. Yeah,
even if you hate listening to this, just keep watching. I'll have graphs. I'll have diagrams. I'll get men to say these things. You don't have to listen to me talk, but you have to realize who stole your money. Okay. I promise you, it's not the immigrants. The immigrants do not have your money.
They don't.
They don't have your money. You're going to have to move past that. But I don't think we finished the grocery thing. So in the Time magazine interview, they're like, well, the guy's like, well, you promised to lower grocery prices. And Trump's like, well, I don't know. It's really hard to lower grocery prices. Like he's already, because economically he can't. Like, so, but imagine how I've never missed a Trump rally since the inception of Trump rallies. Listen to every single one. That was the number one promise. Going to lower your grocery prices. And he's already like, well, it's actually really hard to lower grocery prices, especially when you have tariffs on everything.
Yeah, part of that Meet the Press interview with Kristen Walker said the same thing. I can't guarantee that. Can't guarantee tomorrow. That was the campaign. Immigration, deport all the brown-skinned people and lower your prices. And in both cases, they will cripple the economy if both of those things were to happen. So again, we need to be planning for this. For those of us who talk in these spaces every day, we need to be planning for the spin from the right-wing echo chamber in an attempt to try to blame someone else other than Trump's tariff economic policy and mass deportation for the prices going up. We want the economy to grow. We want the economy to grow at 2.3 to 2.9 to 3%. We want inflation. It's necessary. We don't want it, but it's part of capitalism. So when prices continue to go up for things, who are you going to blame then? Who are you going to blame?
Oh, I just remembered. I found a clip of Trump claim. This is October. I found this clip of Trump in October. Hold on, you're gonna die. This is Trump.
I have to jump at 5, please, just FYI.
Oh no, yeah, I really do too. Actually, it's Friday. Okay. I have a real life. Even though this is probably the most important thing I'll do today. But again, this is October 10th. Okay, this is not 2 months ago.
It'll all happen very quickly. This will rapidly drive prices down, lower interest rates, and put more money into the pockets of American consumers. It'll also bring your grocery bill way down. I have more complaints on grocery. The word grocery, it's sort of simple word, but it sort of means like everything you eat. The stomach is speaking. It always does.
What? But yeah, that was the promise, you guys. Grocery prices. Did you see the clip of him yesterday at the stock exchange being like, a woman had 3 apples and she had to put 1 apple. Let me show you 2 more clips and then we'll end the live because you're going to die laughing. He was like, there was a woman who had an apple and she said, this is my only apple. And everyone was just staring at him like, what?
Again, which lie do we believe? The lie that the video you just showed, or the other lie that he told about not being able to do it?
Yeah, he said yesterday in the Time magazine article, it's really, you can't lower grocery price. I can't promise that. Hey, we only have a couple minutes left, so let me just do these clips, if that's okay.
Go for it.
Incredible step behind me and others that aren't here, and we're going to do a fantastic job.
Oh, wait, hold on. It's this one.
Oil and gas. There is no country in the world that has more. We're number one. I brought it to number 1 during my first term in terms of production. We're going to be number 1 plus. We'll do numbers that nobody will really see before. And when that happens, prices are going to start coming down because people can't afford their groceries, and they're going to be affording their groceries very soon. I tell the story about a woman an old woman, no money, went to a grocery store, had 3 apples. She put them down on the counter and she looked and she saw the price and she said, would you excuse me? And she walked one of the apples back to the refrigerator and came back to pay for the 2 apples. And
has this man never been in a grocery store? Do people put apples in what kind of grocery? Trump's never been to the grocery store is what we just learned. And there was a woman and she had 3 apples and she set the apples down. But he was promising yesterday to cut grocery prices when in the Time magazine article, he admits, I can't, it's really hard to bring down grocery prices. And there's an article today in the New York Times with Scott Bessent, who's in charge of the Treasury, literally saying, quoting the energy industry and them saying, we can't increase production. Like, we're walking a tightrope walk. If we increase production, the cost of the barrels of oil will go down, right? The global need for oil is reducing. We're already producing more oil than anyone in the world has ever produced now under Joe Biden in the United States. Like the math's not mathing, people.
She saw the price and she said, would you excuse me? And she walked one of the apples back to the refrigerator and came back to pay for the 2 apples. And she left with 2 apples. And the woman at the counter said that was so sad. And when I heard about the story, I said that should never happen.
Yeah, and I bet it never did.
Yeah. I'm so glad he's looking out for us.
Hey there. Before you guys ended, I just wanted to thank the 922 people that are here. We've reached over 300K. That's awesome. We can do better next week. And I just wanted to give you guys an update. If you want to join our Discord, you can send a message to Feliz Navidad Live, and we will respond with a link to the Discord. We've learned so much this week. And as a team, we want to turn what we've learned into action. So if you want to join us, some of our ideas to grow is to turn those specific ideas we might have for volunteering, for maybe you want to run for local office but don't know how to do it. Turning many of the things we learn here into opportunities locally. So the more that we contribute to the Discord, the more we'll be able to change maybe just our community and maybe even bigger than that. So if you're as excited as I am about, instead of being depressed about what we hear, let's engage some of our passion. So again, next week we'll have better and more action in the Discord. Let's get ready for the holidays, which can be really a lonely time for people. So we will be doing drop-ins on VCs, movie nights, as well as book clubs. So if any of that inspires you to join, we're looking also for volunteers so that if you have a specific area of this big world you want us to focus on, we can do that too in the Discord. And with that, I will wish everybody a happy weekend. I'll make sure I'm a little bit more focused for next week. And I look forward to seeing you guys there. Thank you, Felice and Fax, for bringing some really depressing news to us, but in the same sense, allowing us to build out a community. Right.
Studies show if you use your facial muscles, it actually makes you happier, whether you're happy or not. Thank you so much.
Smiling. No, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Muscles. Smile even if you don't mean it. Laugh when you don't mean it. We have 4 years of being
Steve.
gaslit.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Bye.
Bye. Well, this has been great. Thank you for
Hasn't
this.
it? We're doing, by the way, we have the Fax and Felice show Monday morning on Faxes Live. I joined him. So we'll be back doing this again at 8 a.m. Eastern time. 5 a.m. Pacific, 6 a.m. for me, Mountain Standard.
And I'm going live in an hour on my channel for Fax After Dark for Friday night. And we're actually going to ask that question that we've been asking. Why can't we not unite around the billionaires being the common enemy? So we're going to have that conversation tonight at 6 Eastern time if anybody wants to join.
Yeah, it's the question of like, MAGA, can you stop caring who's in what bathroom? There's no statistical correlation between bathroom use and crime. We are, however, being robbed by the same people.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you as always, friend. It's always great. I hope you have a lovely, lovely, lovely weekend. Thank you guys for all your gifts and for everybody saying hello. You all are very, very kind and always feel safe in the space. Well, thanks for having me, Felice. I'll see you Monday morning.
Have a great time. So are you starting right now in
6 p.m. It's 6 Eastern, in an hour.
Oh, in an hour. Yeah, guys, go to Faxes Live in an hour. Definitely support him. We'll see you. I'll see you Monday morning. Thanks so much. You're the best.
Later, friend. Take care.
Bye. Anyways, guys, what a great week. A little bit depressing, but we laugh so we don't cry here. Thank you so much. So again, I'll be on Faxes Live Monday morning. I might debate with Pickles this weekend. If I do, I'll let you know in the Discord. And then Monday is the People's Receipts again, 11:30 Pacific, 2:30 Eastern start time. And I just want to encourage everyone, Tuesdays is the only day the People's Receipts doesn't happen. I do the broadcast with Dr. Danny. She is absolutely amazing. And Potty Mouth Pollyanna, Mandy. And we discuss how conservative policies, like a lot of the things I mentioned about women's bodily autonomy, maternal deserts, how the maternal mortality rate is rising, preterm births are rising, infant mortality, the way that conservative policy disproportionately harms women in this country. And that just starts a little early because Danny is a doctor that does rounds and we have to work off that. So 10 a.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays. Please come and join us for the broadcast. I know, I'll see you around these TikTok streets, Cherry Moon. You guys are amazing. African, absolutely. Text me. If you don't message me on TikTok, I can't, for my mental health, I can't check my TikTok messages. There's a lot of men that are angry at me. So just text message me. You guys have an amazing weekend. Hopefully, I'll probably see you debating with Pickles. I miss him. Later, Gators.